Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Apologize. Apologies, it's a late one, but we wanted to really touch on one or two things with you guys. Let's just see how we can expedite things. Good evening and welcome. You're watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. We're going to fleet in between different programs tonight. I'm just going to try and show you one or two things, to be honest, because it's best we do that. And only for
But it is allowing this area of high pressure to build in behind. So quite a contrast with the
only for fairness purposes. I don't know how long we'll do it. We'll listen to both RT and the west side of it, because I believe in being fair to both sides.
You know what? You can be both.
So I believe in listening to both sides. So and just giving a fair assessment. But before we go ahead too much into that, we want to play one or two videos, and here as like a 54-second video to show what is ongoing. One of the issues that is going on in Ukraine, as you all know, the war in Ukraine is going on, and there is another discussion that we will have about that in a longer time, as it were. So let's see how we can push that on. Good evening to you all. Oops, sorry about that. You can hear my voice. I'll be back in a second. I know what's happened now. Sometimes these things do happen, but I've got it. Just give me a minute, please. We will get that sorted out. You will see my face in a minute. Sometimes it does happen, and you just have to deal with it. 1 second, please. There we are. I think. Yeah. Good evening. Welcome to Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Just want to check that you can hear me. You will see my face in a minute. Okay. Good. You can hear me on there. So let me just go and do something with that quickly so that it's not going to disrupt the broadcast. So let's get that going. So, okay. So, yeah, okay, now. So let me just go and check on Facebook before I go ahead, because I do like to make sure we go ahead and we check what's going on Facebook so that you can get the broadcast. Apologies earlier on. Sometimes the broadcast I have to restart it because there's some sort of issue with streaming simultaneously. It does seem to flare up now and then, but nonetheless, we're here. We'll just quickly read through what we have at the beginning, and we will try and play one or two things for you to make us all have a think at what's going on. Oh, beg your pardon. There's something else I need to do. I just realized as I'm talking to you now. Okay, we're gonna do this now. This is going to go. Good evening and welcome to Citizen AY on YouTube. Good evening to you all. You're watching Citizen AY live on Facebook and on YouTube. Let me just check that that's the case now, that you can all see me. Welcome on board. We will be going through one or two things and trying to talk about what's going on. Russia and Ukraine are part of the discussion this evening. And of course, the contraption we know as Nigeria. So let me just test the system. Can you hear me? Just want to make sure you can hear me first. Can you hear me? Okay. I don't know if you can hear me. It says interrupted. I don't know what's going on. Facebook can be like that sometimes, and I'm trying to get that working. Okay. So this is why I don't want to say too much. Good evening. Hello. I don't wonder if you can hear me. I can't hear anything, and that's why I want to make sure that you can hear me. Good evening, my brother. So we are going to talk about one or two things. You hear me? Okay, good. I can't hear anything, and that's why I'm trying to make sure I ascertain it. Let me just verify that. Okay, good. Good evening. If you're joining, please do share the broadcast. Share the broadcast, and we can begin. Hopefully, I'm going to show you one or two things that you may have seen on Citizen AY. If you haven't, we will show you anyway. Before we go into the proper, we will talk about one or two things. There is some delay somewhat on the broadcast. I don't know why, but don't worry. We will continue. As you all know, one of the things I will also mention that FIFA has been banned from playing any games. They've been banned. So that's another news that we should have. But here is what I want you to look at. This is the one I want you to look at.
It's not just a gift.
Now, before we go ahead and have our discussion this evening, we want to talk about, and I know my broadcast is being interrupted somewhat, but hopefully you can hear me. Here is Ashiwaju. Okay. Yeah, there is some sort of delay. Ashiwaju is telling us that he represents the youth. He's saying something. It's not very clear, but I want you to know. Watch his left hand. Watch his left hand. Watch his left hand, and just hear him. What's your view of it? Here we go. Here we go.
It's not just a gift. It's a doubt. I'm begging you.
And also he's coughing.
I'm begging you to tolerate. I beg peace. Part of your master plan. You be there.
Can you see his hands are shaking?
I've been a youth. And I'm a youth. President, doctor. But you have to work for it.
You see, you have to work for it, he's saying to us.
Demonstrate character and president.
Good evening to you, my brother Derek Gani Ogun, and others, Sarah Shodenge, Onye Barros, and all of you watching us, talking about.
But to harness it, to become valuable and prosperity.
Can you see? Can you hear what this guy is saying? Anyway, so let me just pull away from that. I just wanted to just bring that to you. Now we're gonna go and listen to a bit of Russia. I want us to hear what's happening in Russia to give us up to date on what's going on in Russia a little bit. So let's hear if you can find one or two information. So Russia, apparently Russia Ukraine is really bad. So let's hear one or two takes on what's going on.
It's a really upsetting picture, actually, and you know it takes a lot to put a picture like this on a front page. It really does. You know, as a newspaper editor, you never want to have pictures of people.
So
dying
that's what's going on in
anywhere actually.
In Russia, we will show you anyway.
I mean, that image has been used
before
a
we
lot,
go
and you can
into
see
the
why.
into the proper
it absolutely
thing
just
proper,
sums up everything
we will
that's
talk about one
wrong
or two
in
things.
Ukraine.
There is some delay
Absolute
somewhat on the
devastation that's
broadcast. I
happening.
don't know
So what
why,
we've got there is a
but don't
6-year-old
worry,
girl. She's not
we
been
will
named.
continue.
She
As you all know,
in,
one of the things I will also mention that FIFA has been banned from playing any games.
You know,
They've been
it's
banned.
her slippers
So
and unicorn pajamas
that's another news that we
highlighted
should
there. That's
But
apparently
here
her
is
mother
what
on
I
the
want you
left
to
who brought
look
her
at.
slippers
This
and
is the
pink
one I want you
pom-pom
to
scarves
see.
in hospital.
It's not just a
We all identify with that. We all know children with parents.
Before we go ahead and have
this
our
really brings it
discussion this
home,
evening,
and
we want to talk
really
about,
awful
and I know
image
my
to see,
broadcast
and that's
is
going to
getting
make a lot of
interrupted
people
somewhat.
it's
There
just
is something,
devastating.
there is some sort of loop
Melinda,
back.
yeah,
I don't
it's a
understand what is
difficult
going
one,
on.
is this, isn't it?
Here's
Because
Ashiwaju.
it is the nature of all war that the innocent suffer and the innocent die, and children.
Okay, good. We got
if
it.
you're
Sorry.
in a war in an urban area, certainly families will be involved. These are not battles on front lines of old-style wars. Wars are now fought inside countries, sometimes between countrymen and countrywomen. But there is a value in this kind of thing, isn't there? Not just in shocking people, not just in playing, to the heartstrings, but actually reminding people that some of the actions involved in modern warfare kind of seem to breach what we used to think of as standards of acceptable conduct in war.
That's exactly right. And I think 5 of the British papers use the same image in the same story. The Telegraph, the Times, the Daily Mail, the Daily Mirror, and the Daily Express all use the theme of children. And that really stuck out to me.
I want to... What I'm going to do is to just do something. Now, I want to read to you the words at the beginning of this broadcast. So it says here, the ongoing Russia attack on Ukraine has meant students from contraption Nigeria are trying to flee. However, the government of contraption Nigeria are missing in action as US, UK, and other nations and others, including India, are repatriating their citizens. Now, one key thing to put into the mix of this, the Nigerian government, they apparently gave some number to the kids, to our students in Ukraine to call. And so far, when they've called that number, our students, our people who are Nigerian citizens in Ukraine, that number doesn't go anywhere. They've not planned anything. There is no plan to where they can convert and pick them up from inside Poland or wherever else, or Latvia. There is no clear plan, no strategy. But here you have Ashiwaju telling us about prosperity and everything else. Why is it that all of these aspirants, one day he's part of APC, surely he should be able to say our students who are studying in Ukraine should be brought home, and but no, they don't talk about. And this is why this is why we're saying that we can't be in contraction one Nigeria. One Nigeria does not care about Nigerians, particularly if you're Southerner. One Nigeria does not care about you if you are a Southerner. And this is borne out by the fact that even the Southern leaders are not even talking about this student. Yes, they passed a law in the the Senate sort of passed a motion to repatriate the students back home, but that is only a motion. There is no clear plan of action behind that motion. Let me show you a video to show you exactly what I mean. Listen to this video. Here we go. Listen to this video. You will hear the students complain. Listen.
Make plans and cover Nigerians in this particular border. So
This
if
is
you have the
us.
to call his number, I would like you to please put calls across to the person and disturb them. If you have family members who can get across to them and disturb them.
We're so stranded. We've not eaten, no place to rest. We're just here. And we just left the cold outside for 6 hours. We've been outside. We've been begging, pushing, dragging. It's been so traumatic just trying to get into the border, and we're not able to get there. Since morning, we've been told that all Nigerians, the embassy has gotten buses for us and stuff, but we've not seen any. And then we watch other nationalities leave, and it's really, really so sad. People have been crying, people fainted. It's really horrible. Please, Nigeria, please come to our aid.
Did you hear that? I'm going to play it again. I want you to play. I'm going to play it again.
This is us.
They are calling. They are saying Nigeria come to our. That is your one Nigeria. That's in your one Nigeria. Listen.
We're so stranded.
Also, the guy who's convened them in that one room that they're in has said people should reach out, call to all the senators. You see, all the senators and the House of Reps and all of the commissioners and all of the, all of those people, politicians. We need to be hitting them up, particularly in the South. We need to, if you have their number and you can share it, I suggest you share it. Let's all start shaming them. We need to shame them, because these kids, these people, our people in Ukraine, and in Ukraine they are bombing buildings. I kid you not. They are bombing buildings. People, a lady was on BBC News and he said that they bombed buildings, and she was from, I think, I can't remember which country it is. It was in Northern Africa, Morocco, from Morocco. And they said she had to leave. But what plan have the Nigerian government got in place for our people? And now they will tell you, oh, one Nigeria is indivisible. But the people, they forget that the people make this country. And what they are doing, it's not forgotten. What they are doing is trying to kill as many of the Southerners, again, to take our land. You see, what you see in the picture behind me are our resources. And that is what they are after. I want you to just remember, just take it as gospel not gospel. Just take that into serious consideration. What you see behind me, richer than Oshu State. Imagine riches of Dangote. Exactly, Simeon Adebisi. Thank you very much. So this is sheer hypocrisy. Let's listen again to the words of the people who are in Ukraine right now. Listen.
Make plans and cover Nigerians in this particular border. So
This
if
is
you have interest
us.
to call his number, I would like you to please put calls across to the person and disturb them. If you have family members who can get across to them and disturb them.
We're so stranded. We've not eaten, no place to rest. We're just here. And like we just left the cold outside for like 6 hours. We've been outside.
They've been outside for 6 hours in the cold. They are stressed. But there is not one embassy official to come out and point them in or buses. They said they were going to get them buses. There's no buses, no Nigerian official, nothing. That's your one Nigeria. That is your one Nigeria. I'm sorry if my voice is raised, but I feel for them. They said other countries have come to get their people. Where are the Nigerian people? Where are the Nigerian government? This is what you need to consider. Those of you talking about one Nigeria, what is happening in Ukraine tells you everything you need to know about your one Nigeria. Your one Nigeria does not include Southerners. Your one Nigeria does not include Southerners. And I want us to really bear that in mind. So let's play that again. Carry on, and I'll play it a few more times.
We've been begging, pushing, dragging. Like, it's been so traumatic just trying to get into the border, and we're not able to get there. Since morning, we've been told that all Nigerians, the embassy has gotten buses for us and stuff, but we've not seen any. And then we watch other nationalities leave, and it's really, really so sad. Like, people are.
Other nationalities are being taken away by the governments. So they want Nigeria. Where is one Nigeria? If you are telling us to believe in one Nigeria, then you must be able to. There has to be a benefit for the people in that one Nigeria. A case in point, in Ukraine now, one Nigeria would have made sure that every single Nigerian citizen is protected and they are safe. They are hungry. The people passed out. They've watched other countries come and pick up their own people. That's your one Nigeria. This is why we do programs like this, to awaken the mind of Southerners. I am calling on my Middle Belt brothers, my Igbo brothers, my Yoruba Oduduwa brothers to please wake up. The time is now for us to go for referendum. They passed a law for immunity for those politicians in power. They're passing another law that if a Fulani man is in Bayelsa or in Ogun, or in Kwara or in Abia State, if he speaks the language, he is also a son of that state. This is what these people, they are only interested in taking the land. They only want our land. They don't care about us, the people. And that is what you are seeing. The clear example of the fact that they want our land is what you're seeing playing out in Ukraine. And this is why I'm saying to us as Southerners, as Middle Belt, as Igbos, as Yorubas, to go for referendum. We have the right to self-determination based on the action of the government, solely based on the action of the government who preach one Nigeria. But when it comes to it, how many of you have heard the fact that when some Hausas or Fulanis they had a problem in Saudi Arabia? What happened? Within 24 hours, this government was there. They freed them. Within 24 hours. We've countless, and there are countless issues. I can give you UAE, Qatar, Arab Emirates, the Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, where Southerners have been stuck, Southerners have been killed, and this government have said nothing. Again, you are seeing now with Ukraine, I'm telling you, they will not move this. These people will have to find their own way out, and they will be lucky. And as we know, Poland don't like black people. They don't. And what they tend to do is they will push them back. Because we know, yes, women should be the first people go. That's what they're saying. But when the thing, that's even more reason why the Nigerian government should be there. Because the people that the Polish are going to consider as refugees are going to be women only. Women only. And Ukraine women only. Because I'm afraid to say this. The European idea of how to raise a refugee, what they see as refugees, starting from Poland, are the Ukraine people. They don't consider you as a Nigerian or any of the foreigners to be to have significance in that way. And that yet again signifies the importance of the government going in there, taking our people out as quickly as possible. They were there to study, after all. On government scholarship in most of the cases. This is what we're saying, that this is proof that one Nigeria is a fraud. Let's listen on again, and I'll play it one more time.
I've been crying. People fainted.
See?
It's really horrible. Please, Nigeria, please come to our aid.
I'm sorry, young lady. Nigeria will never come to your aid. They will never come to your aid. And that's the plain fact. And many of you watching this with me, you will agree with me. Nigeria will never come to her aid. They won't. Because all they are interested in is taking the resources of the land. I want to show you all. I'm going to play this video one more time. And I will probably bring it throughout the course of the broadcast this evening. And let me just do that now. So let's play again to hear, and I'll be quiet this time. Listen.
This is us.
Call his number. I would like you to please put calls across to the person and disturb them. If you have family members who can get across to them and disturb them.
We're so stranded. We've not eaten, no place to rest. We're just here. And we just left the cold outside for 6 hours. We've been outside. We've been begging, pushing, dragging. It's been so traumatic just trying to get into the border, and we're not able to get there. Since morning, we've been told that all Nigerians, the embassy has gotten buses for us and stuff, but we've not seen any. And then we watch other nationalities leave, and it's really, really so sad. People have been crying, people fainted. It's really horrible. Please, Nigeria, please come to our aid.
It is sad. It really is sad that they are having to beg. They are having to beg and say, please come to our aid. And these are our own people. These are our own people. Again, good evening. If you're just joining us, you're watching Citizen AY live. It's late in the evening. We're going to go through the videos and see what is happening in Ukraine. And we will have a discussion about that. But what I want to do is I'm going to have a wider discussion as well in terms of the amendment bill and the ramifications for us as Southerners. Let's listen on.
Put calls across to the person and disturb them. If you have family members who can get across to them and disturb them. Like,
We're so stranded. We've not eaten, no place to rest. We're just here. And like we just left the cold outside for like 6 hours. We've been outside. We've been begging, pushing, dragging. Like it's been so traumatic just trying to get into the border, and we're not able to get there. Since morning, we've been told that all Nigerians, the embassy has gotten buses for us and stuff, but we've not seen any. And then like we watch other nationalities leave, and it's really, really so sad. Like people have been crying, people fainted. It's really horrible. Please, Nigeria, please come to our aid.
So there you have it. The Nigerian government are not coming to the aid of the students that they sent to Ukraine. They don't care. They do not care at all, not one jot. And these are reasons for us to, the same government that will not care about the citizens is the same government that will come with a bag of rice to ask you to vote for people. Some of you who are getting that bag of rice, the pot of oil, the piece of cloth, some of you, your families who you depend on, they are in Ukraine. Oh, I hope you know that. They are in Ukraine. And they may not come out of this alive because the killings going on there it is really horrific. At this juncture, let me just put, I'll put the number up to call at the same time. So +44, sorry. Just want to make sure you get the number to call as well. I think it will come up on the screen, but nonetheless, I'll leave it there. Sorry. So again, I'm saying it. Those of you who are supporting One Nigeria, just know that if you have a family, Abike, we're busy. Exactly. So where's Abike Dabiri now? Where is she? So they don't care. These people do not care. They don't care. Ladies and gentlemen, as you're watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. I'd really like you to do us a big favor, and I'd be really grateful if you could do that. Let's just do this. Please go ahead and subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube. That platform, we need that platform to continue to grow. Thank you for those of you that have so far subscribed and continue. Please go ahead, continue to subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube. We need to grow that platform. We need it to continue to reach more people because the information we want to have, that we have. Facebook, as you can see, Facebook are playing a lot of games. The numbers are being deliberately driven down, but that's okay. We're not interested in whatever. They can do whatever they want to do. We will have other platforms. Don't forget to subscribe to us follow us on Twitter and on Instagram as well, and of course on YouTube. What we need to do is to continue to raise the level of awareness. What we are putting before you is concrete evidence of why we are justified in going for self-determination by way of a referendum. Because a government that fails to protect its citizens in a foreign country is not a government we want to be part of. So I urge you all, as you're watching this, please, let's continue to demand, to continue to wake our people up, to go for self-determination. We are oppressed in our own land. I will come back and talk about a few more things again. In fact, I want to bring something else to your attention. I've mentioned it before. I mentioned it yesterday. I'm going to mention it again today. As I'm talking to you, please be aware. What you see behind me here in the shots, I kid you not, these are resources, over 40 mineral resources in our land. Our land is fertile. Our land is rich. We are blessed. We should not be in poverty. There is no reason why any citizen from that area should be in poverty. Those who came and decided to take our place as territory that they are going to control and have our resources, they saw it as the most valuable part. It's not my words. These are when Germany and UK and France were fighting for who was going to get control of that area, and ultimately UK won. They were fighting over it. I want you to know the resources you see on the screen behind me, those resources, they are in our soil. And when we become independent as Igbos, as Yorubas, as Middle Beltans, we have nothing to fear. We will be able to employ people to work. We will be able to create jobs. We will be able to build infrastructures. These are things deliberately being denied to us by way of that fraudulent constitution. And I want to show you something more specifically on that constitution as well. Let me go and bring the information out so that we can talk about that at length as well. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 42, and I think that's 36. Oh, no, that's the other one. Sorry. Let's get one more out. I want to get one more out if I can find it. 38, 42. Okay, there's one more I want to just get out. Hopefully we will be able to get it. Okay, one more. If there's more than one way of doing this, if it doesn't work, I will get it for you. But we will come back and play that video. And I will tell you, like I said, the US, the UK, even India flew a plane in and took their people. They didn't wait. Where are the Nigerian government? What plans have they made to get their people to the border in Poland to then fly them out immediately? They haven't made any plans. These are the things that we're talking about. Now, yeah. One more thing. Let me just get this right. 1 second, please. Downloads. Okay. I'm just trying to check something, please. So bear with me. That's not it. That's not it. Sorry. Oh, goodness me. Sorry about that. I'm putting the wrong thing. Goodness me. I don't know what I'm doing today. Sorry. It will get there in the end. Is that it? If it doesn't work, no. Okay. Now, this I will come and talk about later on. This is about Berlin Conference. But we'll talk about that later on. Okay. Let me try one more thing. I don't know why it's not showing what I wanted to show. I had some things that I wanted to show you, and it's very important that you have that information. But okay. So that's another video you can watch, by the way. People were trying to go away. I think I showed that yesterday. But I've showed that yesterday, so I'm not going to show that now. Yeah, 38. That's the one. That's the one. Now, we've got this here now. I want you to listen to this. 38. So we're going to read it in order. 36, 38, and 42. So let's do this. So 38. Oh, we need 36. Sorry. That one. No, not that one. Oh, no. I just took my eye off the ball. 38. Okay. 36. Good. 36. Now, I want you to look at this. They made the amendment to the Constitution, and they made a noise. Buhari is not going to sign it. On the face of it, you think, oh, okay, they're making a new thing. It's all a plan. And listen to the words of this. This is a big problem for us all. And I want those politicians, those southern politicians, I am telling you now, you are going to come. There's going to be a rude awakening for you. There's going to be a rude awakening for you. Listen to the words here. It says here, 36, bill for an act to alter the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, to expand the scope of the citizenship by registration and for related matters. So they're going to expand the scope of citizenship. So now, they are throwing the borders open. Already the borders are open, but they want to make it official. So they've now passed a law, and the government has signed on it, that Fulanis can come in, and they are welcomed, and they will be accepted, and they will be funded. That is what it's about. This amendment is to bring in more Fulanis, and I will tell you a bit more about that. What the impact of that is yet more Fulanis killing us in our own land. That is what is happening. In the face of that, can you imagine, as they're doing that, they are not caring about these students. Let me show you the students again. These students don't matter. Let me just show that down. Sorry. So these students, the lives of these students doesn't matter to them. Look. Let me show you the eye of this guy. See this way? They are concerned. All of them. The two there and others Look at the concern on their face. The government is only interested in, let me just bring this back. Let me just make that smaller. Is only interested in sending in, getting as many Fulanis as possible into all areas of the country, not only the south and in the north, but the south as well. And this is the problem. So that is about authorizing, allowing the government to bring in more Fulanis and passing the law to allow it. This is on the fraudulent constitution that already we reject. We collectively, as Southerners, as Middle Belt, as Igbos, as Yorubas, we collectively reject it. In fact, that's one of the reasons we're saying we want a referendum to decide if we want to be part of this contraption or not. Because we've realized that any talk about restructuring is a lie. Any talk about trying to rewrite the constitution is a lie. All we want is a referendum so we, Middle Belt, Igbos, and Yorubas, can decide for ourselves via self-determination to go our own way. And it's our right. Self-determination is a human right. And this is something I'm bringing to you. Let me read you the next thing as well to make you understand. In fact, before I do that, I'm going to play something again. I've done it before, but I will do it again. I want to play you that bit there to tell you what this means. Because you see, it's when you see this, what I'm saying, and you hear General Bill speaking, then you can connect the two and understand that we are in serious danger in terms of our land. These guys want our resources, and they will stop at nothing to get it. They will stop at nothing. Where is it? Where is it? So, ladies and gentlemen, please do not forget to go and subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube. Your help is very much needed in that area. Let's go. Let me just put that to one side, and I'll get this out. So it'll come up in a minute. Again, I'm just going to show you what we need to do. I might be here for about an hour or two. So let me just put, I mean, what these guys are doing is crazy. So let me put it there now. Let me see, where is it? Where is it? Where is he saying now? Oh, come on. I want to show you where he says, here we go. I want you to listen to this, then I'll go for Bala Mohammed as well. One more thing, let me do that one. So I want to show you this. So you need to connect what is being said here. This bill relates to what General B was saying. And when you hear what he's saying, this will make sense. Now let's go and do Bala Mohammed. So let me just go here. So let's get this one. Okay, one more thing. Yeah, that's it. So I got that here. So now let's go and let's play you General Bill so you can actually see the dangers that we face.
As a true Nigerian.
Now, you see, true Nigerian. I'm going to tell you that constitution that they wrote was designed to meet this. It was designed to make with this in mind. And we have to be very aware. Keep in mind the words here. To expand the scope of citizenship. Expand the scope. So they're not happy with the fact that they have to go through a long process to actually, one by one, say, okay, your Fulani man is allowed. They've now gone to change the constitution to make sure that Fulanis are allowed to be in any part of the country. That's what they've done. Now, here we go. Look at it. Now, listen to his words here.
They can be rehabilitated. They can be rehabilitated additionally and be accepted in the community. Opportunities are out there for them.
You see?
They can be rehabilitated.
So they can be rehabilitated. What about the current citizens who have not been who have been denied jobs by the fact that they've taken a refinery into Niger, they've built rail tracks to Niger, they've taken jobs away from our people. What about that? What about that? Now let's listen on anyway. Let's carry on.
Ex-Boko Haram stands having laid his arms and comes back, turns his way away from his negativity. He stands to be a president of this country. He stands to aspire to...
You didn't hear that? General Biu said it. He said, a Boko Haram stands to be the next president of that contraption. And you know, this is why you need to understand. What they've done now is to, by making that amendment, it means now that the PVC, they will now, I'm sure they've probably been giving them PVC anyway, but they couldn't really justify it. Now, they can justify giving Boko Haram PVC because of this amendment. I hope you follow me now. Let me go and get the amendment out. Is that it? Yeah. Because of this amendment that they put in place, which talks about expanding the scope of citizenship. It's solely about meeting the criteria to be able to bring in the Fulani terrorists and to be able to say you can be the next president of Nigeria, because the constitution that the fraudulent constitution, this is again yet more reason why we have to go for referendum and go our own way. And I'm urging, at this point, I'm urging my Middle Belt brothers, my Igbos and Yoruba brothers, to make sure that we form vigilante groups so that we can push out these Fulani terrorists from our borders, from our land, because they want our resources, they want our land. The resources you see in the picture behind me is what they are after. And like I said, they are not going to help our people. They're not helping our people in Ukraine. And people who are in Ukraine are all Southerners. To a man, they are all Southerners. And you have not seen any embassy official come to help them. So this is a very important point to bear in mind. Now, let's carry on. I'm trying to show you. So now let me just play that bit again about General Biu. So, because it's very important we understand what he's saying there. I want you to listen to his words. Listen. Then I'll bring in Governor Bala Mohammed.
He stands to be a president of this country. He stands to aspire to any position in this country.
He stands to aspire to any position in this country. That is what that amendment is about. The amendment, and this is why we have to categorically reject being part of contraption Nigeria. They are not helping us. When there's a problem, when there's problems around the world, in Ukraine, for example, they are not rushing to help the citizens. They don't care. You know why? Because they are not Fulanis, because they are Southerners, and we have to go our own way. So he said it. Let me play it again one more time so you hear it. Watch this now. Let's just play it back. Listen. Listen here.
Activity. He stands to be a president of this country. He stands to aspire to any position in this country. Why is he wasting his time when he cannot even deliver?
You see?
We will do that. But we have appealed.
So let me just play it so you can hear.
And comes back, turns his way away from his negativity. He stands to be a president of this country. He stands to aspire to...
So General Abdul Malik Biu is speaking for the terrorists. Keep in mind, as a general, his job is to actually fight the terrorists. But no, in uniform, live on camera, he's saying, oh, we're bringing in the terrorists. Oh, if they repent. How many of those people, if they were going to show any sign of repenting, then they should go through the court system. None of them have been put through the court system. This is the point we are making here. And that amendment is to allow Fulanis, as many Fulani terrorists as possible, to come in. Boko Haram, ISWAP, all of them, they've already in our land. The plan is to take it over. And those politicians who believe, the southern politicians who believe, oh, I will win the next election. And they're telling you, oh, yes, bring a southerner to be the next president. Look, these guys, they will stand next to, El Rufai will stand next to the man that the South chooses and support this man. He must be the next president. But I tell you, on the day of the election, you will see something. The Fulani terrorists that they are now given the right to own a PVC, because that's where they're going. Where they're going is to make sure that all the Fulanis have a PVC, and all you Southerners, the only place you will be, even in your land, is going to be IDP camps. The only place you will be is going to be IDP camps. And that is what is coming to us. And that is why we need to wake up. That is why we're spreading the message. We need you to be aware of what is to come, and we need to work together as Middle Belt, as Igbos and Yorubas. And I want us all to be aware that as we speak, the British government that is espousing all the words, warm words about democracy for Ukraine. They are denying us that same democracy by refusing to listen to the plight of those of us in the Middle Belt, in Igbo land and in Yoruba land, who are calling for a referendum. They are not supporting us. They are only saying we have to stay as one. So in the case of Ukraine, no, Ukraine can stay apart from Russia. But in the case of Nigeria, we must stay with it because they want to form a strong partnership with Nigeria at our expense. It's very important we understand that two dynamics. And that will play into another question I will be asking you later on. We will come to that, but I wanted to just play this. Now, let me make that smaller. I want you to listen to this guy here. Here we go. Let's listen to Bola Mohammed. He's going to say something now. Let's listen to him. Sorry for me. So we'll get that done. Now let's say Bola Mohammed. They're going to ask him a question. I want you to listen to his answer. And there I will going to bring you the next part of it, the Amendment 38. Now let's listen to this. Now.
Government use resources for this country to accommodate Fulani men who are not Nigerians.
You see, as I said, we are already accommodating them.
You see?
Do you delineate?
You see, we are already, listen again, no. We are already accommodating non-Fulanis. And that is what, that number 36 talks about. Let me go back, 36. You see? They are already accommodating them. What that amendment does is it is now in our law that we have to accommodate them. They didn't wait for the law before they started bringing them in. Now they have the law. There's going to be more coming in. That is what is happening. We need to understand that. And we have to go for self-determination. We need vigilante groups across the whole of the South. I will come back and tie everything up at the end. But this is where we're going. So now let's go to the next thing, what he said now. I want you to go back to what he said there and listen. Let's go and listen now. Hear this now.
And then really know who is not a Fulani man from Nigeria.
The question they asked him is this. Listen to the question they asked him.
Where anyone who comes in is secured, so there is no one that can just come in from anywhere else.
No. It is going to be a colony, and a colony does not require a fence.
You will understand
the reason.
You will understand the reason why people are concerned, because of all the security issues that have been happening over time. So if that...
These forests are there anyway. If you don't occupy them and create a colony out of them, they create places for the criminals. And today, that's why you have the Sambisa forest. Because it's not being utilized.
Much as yes, I mean, they're fantastic. We have met a lot of them who are Fulanis as well. But the concern too is, why should federal government use resources for this country to accommodate Fulani men who are not Nigerians?
Thank you.
You see, as I said, we are already accommodating them. Do you delineate and then really know who is not a Fulani man from Nigeria? They are all Nigerians, because I said their identity, their own citizenship is Nigerian, even though we have relations all over the world, all over Africa. And so, presumably they are Nigerians. I think you get me. That is the misunderstanding. They move from one place to the other, and they have relations, kith and kins in all the parts of the country, and even outside the country. So that is why our own population is fluid. You can certainly not say this is the population of Nigeria.
So these issues was raised these same issues were raised in NEC. And NEC admitted and accommodated all of these concerns and said, yes, we will do this.
All these issues, there were some, you see, when decisions are taken, you don't give a dissenting view. It is a decision that it should be done, and state will look at its peculiarities and what it wishes. So for some of us, we think it's a very good thing. We can even say we will accommodate all the Fulanis in Bauchi if you want, and then we'll be taking their meat and their products to you, and then we'll make a lot of money.
Okay, 200 days.
Yes.
But time is fine.
So, now, what he's saying in essence there, let me play that back again. I want you to really understand that what he's saying there now, it not only relates to the amendment to 36, it relates to 38 as well. Now let's hear briefly now.
Kith and kins in all the parts of the country and even outside the country.
Listen.
Fulani men who are not Nigerians?
You see, as I said, we are already accommodating them. Do you delineate and then really know who is not a Fulani man from Nigeria? They are all Nigerians, because I said their identity, their own citizenship is Nigerian, even though we have relations all over the world, all over Africa. And so, presumably they are Nigerians. I think you get me. That is the misunderstanding. They move from one place to the other, and they have relations, kith and kins in all the parts of the country, and even outside the country. So that is why our own population is fluid. You can certainly not say this is the population of Nigeria.
So these issues was raised in, these same issues were raised in NEC. And NEC admitted and accommodated all of these concerns and said, yes, we will do this.
All these issues, there were some, you see, when decisions are taken, you don't give a dissenting view. It is a decision that it should be done, and state will look at its peculiarities and what it wishes. So for some of us, we think it's a very good thing. We can even say we will accommodate all the Fulanis in Bauchi if you want, and then we'll be taking their meat and their products to you, and then we'll make a lot of money.
Okay, to your 100 days.
Yes, but
time is fine.
So, I wanted to just know that, to really understand that key point. And there's one more I wanted to know. He mentioned about Bielsa. Let me just go back there.
Yes, we are taking
that.
Oh, yes, that is going to give Nigeria the opportunity to really have the best in terms of documentation in the demographics. Because, as I said, the Fulani man settles anywhere he can feed his cattle. And so, if they are put in one place and they are made to understand that this is to save them and their animals, they are exposed to the vagaries of the forest.
So, let me just really bring home the point there. I'm going to bring you 38. 38 says, let me make that full here. A bill for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the fraudulent Constitution, provide criteria for the qualification to become an indigene of a state in Nigeria and for related matters. Now, that is to do with the South. This is specifically to do with South. You see, the North, all that they've captured that already. But the South, it means that any Fulani man that speaks their local language, once he speaks the language of the Bayelsan or for Middle Belt or for Yoruba man, they are saying with this law, he is entitled to be in that state. Not only as a Nigerian, but also is entitled to be in that state. He's entitled to all of the resources. He's entitled to the land. He is a son of the soil, like a Yoruba man will be son of the soil. He is a son of the soil, like an Igbo man will be son of the soil. He's a son of soil, like the Middle Belt man will be son of the soil. This is what this amendment is all about. And what that means, to cap it off, what that means is now that we are going to see more IDP camps. We are. Because what they will do, all of these people, all of these Fulanis that you see now, the terrorists, they're in the bushes, they will now be, I'm sure they've been given PVC cards already. They've been given PVC cards. And what will happen is more and more, if we do not speak up now, more and more Southerners, the owners of the land, more and more indigenes in the South, Middle Belt, Igbos and Yorubas, we will be chased away into the internally displaced people's camp. That's where they will chase us. And those people who are in those camps, they will never be able to return to the places that these Fulani terrorists, who have now been given the right to stay in our country because of this fraudulent amendment, they will now be given the right to claim to be from that part, to be a son of our soil in Yoruba land, in Igbo land, in Middle Belt. And they will chase many Southerners away. Many will be in IDP camps. And that is what the Southern politicians have failed to realize. All of this they've played into the hands of the Fulani hegemony. Because what will happen is they will only put in who they are told to vote for. So if you say you're a Southerner, you're a president, yes, they've got the support. You will on the day of the election, you will suddenly find that your people cannot vote because one, they've been denied access to PVC. Two, they've been killed and chased away by these same terrorists who have been given guns The terrorists have been given guns, and they've been given PVC, and they will use it to take your land. That is where we're going. And those politicians, the southern politicians who believe, oh yes, I've won, Tinubu is talking about, yeah, vote for me. The people are not safe. I don't understand what planet these crooks, bunch of political crooks are, when they're thinking that they can continue to give, bribe the people with 5,000 naira, a bag of rice, when the lives of the people are under threat. Dakwa Abiodun went to give the people who are chased away from their land in Yewa, they were in Pobe. He said, come back, I'll give you a bag of rice. As if that will save their lives. This is what we are talking about. This is the reality of what we're saying. Yeah, so that the Fulani man's passport into... Exactly. Is the Fulani man's passport into Nigeria? Exactly, it is. Bolaji, yeah, absolutely, you said it. You hit the nail on the head. So ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot for us to really look at here. And what the best thing we can do now is to create vigilante groups across the South. And at the same time, start recording our people in every community, in every indigenous community. We need to record to know the people who are born there, the relatives and everybody in that area. So we have to keep a database in each of those areas, because at a time will come when those records will be very important for us to be able to prove many of the things that has been undo many of the things that these people have done. So I'm urging Southerners, we need vigilante groups. Among that, the job that should be taken on by each community is recording who the people of the community are before the marauders came, because they are going to send many of us into IDP camps. They will, with guns, they've made sure the people have guns, they have PVC. We don't have any guns, and they will make sure we don't get enough PVCs either. These are the realities of what we face, and that's why we are bringing this to your attention. Now, let me show you the final bit of it before I now move on. The final bit of their plan is to now make sure, let's go back here. Let me show you this. The final act of their plan is to make sure that, you see, alter the provisions of this is section 42, the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 to expand immunity to the legislative and judicial arms of government and for related matters. So again, we know that the president is immune from prosecution whilst he's in office, and the same with the vice president, and the same with governors. They are immune from prosecution whilst they are in office. What they now want to do is put the same thing in place for House of Reps, senators, politicians, anybody that the government elects. All of the people that the government elects, they are immune from prosecution. And that means they can oppress and suppress you, they can loot, they can do whatever, you can't touch them. This is why we're saying that that constitution is a fraud, and we need to reject it. We must go full steam ahead for referendum now. We need to go for that. So that wraps that up. And I will play this video later on again. Let me see if I can play it. There's a section I wanted to play here.
Maybe domiciled in other countries who move around, they can come into the country, and this plan will accommodate them as well.
Yes, that's what we want to do. But it has to be done through sensitization, telling them you have to buy in the project. And you use the language, the culture itself, to be able to convince them. Away from the mistrust where the whole system of transhumance or pastoralism is criminalized. Criminalization of pastoralism is the problem that we have with this project. And it requires people with passion who understand them and who they believe in, people like us from that part of the country, to say, yes, we have this. Because today there is no limit to the accusation that this and that has happened and it is the Fulani man who caused it. There is no tribe that is not, that you don't have this criminality in, but certainly the way and manner we do it is really exacerbating the crisis and the problems.
Will there be any form of documentation of all the people that will be,
yes, we are
within that?
Oh yes, that is going to give Nigeria the opportunity to really have the best in terms of documentation in the demographics, because, as I said, a Fulani man settles anywhere he can feed his cattle.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are in dire straits. Now, let me go, and we need to really work together. And I wanted to bring that to your attention. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about is this. You know, I want you to listen to something. I'm going to talk about Ukraine. Let's see if I can pull that up. And I'll come back to this video. Again, let's play the video as we speak. Our students are stuck and stranded in Ukraine, and the government of Nigeria is not helping them. Listen to this.
Make plans and cover Nigerians in this particular border. So
This
if
is
you have the means
us.
to call his number, I would like you to please put calls across to the person and disturb them. If you have family members who can get across to them and disturb them.
We're so stranded. We've not eaten, no place to rest. We're just here.
See?
And like we just left the cold outside for like 6 hours. We've been outside. We've been begging, pushing, dragging. Like it's been so traumatic just trying to get into the border, and we're not able to get there. Since morning, we've been told that all Nigerians, the embassy has gotten buses for us and stuff, but we've not seen any. And then like we watch other nationalities leave, and it's really, really so sad. Like people have been crying, people fainted. It's really horrible. Please, Nigeria, please come to our aid.
Jenny. So somebody just said now that 2 people have died in the cold already in Ukraine because of the cold. Good evening, Uche Geni. Terry Omalade, good evening to you. Oduatide, good evening to you as well. I'm going to remove Adrian Carrillo because they're sending stuff which I just don't really, it doesn't really do us anything. It's not helping what we're trying to do here. 1 second, please. Let me just check what they're doing, and then I'll move them along. Ladies and gentlemen, please do not forget to subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube.
If you are struggling,
it's very important that you help us promote the platform, because it's really important for us to be able to have a connection with our Middle Belt brothers, our Igbo brothers, and make sure that we continue to speak truth to power, enlighten our people, because we've been we are all oppressed at the minute as we speak, and we need to change that. We need to get away from, we need to stand up for ourselves and make sure we hold this bunch of crooks to account. It's injustice. It really is sheer injustice, and we mustn't allow this to continue. I want to urge you to please help us by subscribing to Citizen AY on YouTube. One more thing I wanted to do just now. Sorry. I was going to get you an information, if I can find it. Right. So regarding those two, I'm going to find two. I want to find 2 Nigerians die in Ukraine from cold. Let me just see. I want to get that to you. So from cold, you see, somebody just said that now, and I want to make sure we cover that. Okay. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. Brutal act of war. Yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to see. Yeah, okay. I can't see that broadcast, but I will bring it. I'll bring it back. So let's do something now. 1 second, please. Okay, so we're gonna make that small. So now let's go and look at what BBC is saying now. Let's just.
They use this picture.
Sorry, is it a long-established community there? Because you mentioned there's a church.
Yeah, it's not a massive.
Let me just see.
Of the tournaments. And
like I said, Russia has been kicked out of the football tournaments.
Svitolina has withdrawn from the WTA tournament in Monterrey in Mexico, where she was due to play Anastasia Potapova of Russia. The Ukrainian world number 15 will not play any match against a Russian or Belarusian opponent until the WTA, ATP and ITF agree to list these players as neutral athletes. She said she didn't blame any of the Russian athletes and paid tribute to those who have bravely stated their position against the war.
Now, let's...
Meanwhile, for the first time since November 2016, men's tennis has a new world number 1. Russia's Daniil Medvedev now tops the rankings, replacing Novak Djokovic, who's held top spot for a record 361 weeks in total. Incidentally, it's also the first time since 2004 that the world #1 hasn't been one of Djokovic, Roger Federer, Rafa Nadal or Andy Murray.
No.
Chelsea owner Roman Abramovich has been asked by Ukraine to help support their attempts to broker peace with Russia, according to the Russian billionaires.
Let's do something as we speak. I'll urge you to please subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube. And I'm going to pose a question, and I hope some of you can provide shed some light on this. Because we have to think about something. We have to think ahead a little bit. Where is it now? Sorry. Excuse me. Okay, now, please subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube. Where your help would really, it'd be really great if you could help. There's a link on on Citizen AY. You can just click on the link to subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube. Those of you who have subscribed already, we are grateful for your help and support. Continue to share the broadcast. Continue to help us reach more people, because we bring information to you that that is only about the truth, and enlighten us, and to help us to take action, collective action, to free ourselves from bondage. The Europeans, they're focused on their issues. The colonials are focused on how to improve their lot. It's time we focus on our own people and how we can improve the lives of the coming generation. Now let's listen out for a bit, and I'm going to pose a question. I want to listen out for a little bit.
Spokesperson. They added Abramovich was contacted by Ukrainian officials and has been trying to help ever since. Chelsea owner, long seen as having close ties to Russian President Vladimir Putin, handed control of the club to its charitable foundation over the weekend. The BBC understands the foundation are yet to accept his offer, with concerns around their legal responsibilities and whether commission rules will allow them to assume control. Meanwhile, on the pitch in football, Alexander Zinchenko will feature for Manchester City in their FA Cup game against Peterborough on Tuesday. The Ukrainian was on the bench for City's Premier League win over Everton on Saturday.
I think it would be good for him to play and show the reason why he's here. He's a magnificent player to play football. It's one game, it's a final. Of course, they are not in the best position in the championship, but it's a game in the stadium with small conditions. When we adapt in the past, we're going to adapt to tomorrow, and nothing.
Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about different things now. So that's football there. Let me just see if I don't want to dwell on that. Let's go to the next thing.
Wildering crisis.
Now, here we go. Listen to this.
Say it looks like Russia.
Listen to this is what is happening in Russia. So let's spend time on this for a few minutes.
Again, are outnumbered, but they are doing.
So now listen.
Moves through. So it may well start.
Now here we go. So we'll watch this for a bit, and I'll make some comments. Let's just watch it for a bit. Then I will play Russia TV as well, again, to hear a different view. It's only for balance. And if they're saying anything that's a bit too, we will pull that as well. But only for fairness, we believe in being fair. And then I will then pose a question, and I will bring something. Yes, okay, I've got what I want to do. Just forgot myself. So now, here we go.
Of the situation.
1 minute.
So what?
What's now?
Welcome to Newsday. Reporting live from Singapore, I'm Karishma Vaswani. The headlines.
Now watch this. Okay. So
Fighting
now
intensifies in the country's second largest city of Kharkiv as Ukraine accuses Russia of bombarding residential districts. Half a million people have left Ukraine since the invasion began, with some cities witnessing a frantic scramble to escape.
People are keen to escape.
Again, are outnumbered, but they are doing their best. I've seen them go down there into the crowds and try and calm people. But it's very, very difficult given the volatility of the situation.
So, what are the chances of peace? Ukrainian and Russian officials hold talks on a ceasefire, but with no success, as President Putin rails against the West.
The so-called Western community, as I called it in my speech, the Empire of Lies, is now trying to implement against our country.
Now, I'm going to...
Russia's central bank is rocked by sanctions imposed by the US and its European allies, with sharp falls in the ruble and the interest rate soaring.
So FIFA has banned them as well.
Sport, FIFA and UEFA suspend all Russian football teams at country and club level from international competition.
Live from our studio in Singapore. This is BBC News. It's Newsday.
Welcome to the program. Ukraine has accused Russia of bombarding residential districts in the country's second largest city, Kharkiv, killing at least 11 people and injuring dozens. The regional governor said there were no military targets in the areas under attack and called it a war crime. Kharkiv remains under Ukrainian control. Russia has been repeatedly criticized at the United Nations in New York during a day of emergency meetings about Ukraine. We begin with this report from our international correspondent.
Just for a few minutes, then we'll then ask a question.
By night, they defend the capital. Skies full of fire. These Ukrainian troops are still holding off Russian forces. Their president calling on the invaders to lay down their arms.
Drop your weapons and get out of here. Do not believe your commanders. Do not believe your propagandists. Just save your lives and go.
And in a Kyiv children's hospital, a young victim of Europe's newest war.
Okay, so now you see they're showing what's happening there, and that's really not. Yeah, it is just. It's awful what's happening there, but let's play for a few
Lies
minutes.
Between life and death. He's just 13, and doctors tell us as his family tried to flee, they came under fire. It's unclear from which side.
The smallest brother was killed, unfortunately. This boy has injuries of face and also injuries of spine. It's very difficult to say at this moment what is the prognosis, but we will try to do everything to save this child.
Here at Okhmadet Hospital, the largest paediatric centre in Ukraine, staff are used to battling disease. Now they have to adjust to war on their doorstep.
Most of the patients have been moved to the basement for safety reasons. There was another air raid siren just as we arrived. Now, doctors here say they have enough supplies for the moment, but the World Health Organization is warning that if the situation in Kyiv gets worse, oxygen supplies could start to run out.
And just outside, desperately ill children wait, with their worried mothers, to be transferred to Poland for cancer treatment no longer available here.
Tom is 6 years old.
Little Artyom must endure a risky journey with his mother, Marina.
I know all the dangers that we may face there on the road, and it's really, really dangerous for us. And I'll be frank, I'm scared, but I can see another way to escape, so we have to do this.
See that?
But no escape today in Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city. Military experts say it looks like Russia is using cluster bombs, which are banned by many countries.
This is a residential area with no military objects.
Here, a factory of some kind, now destroyed. It was a relentless bombardment of a major city as peace talks were beginning. Ukrainians are fighting back. a fearless reception committee for Russian troops in the eastern city of Berdyansk. Shouts of "Go home." Back in Kiev, the air raid sirens were wailing again, and some were rushing for the railway station, including this group of students from India.
They're from India.
We don't know what's going to happen next, but the only thing is that we are going to go to home, and we're trying our best to go back to home. That's it.
There have been reports of foreign students not being allowed on trains.
Listen again.
But in this time of war, hopes all will be treated equally.
So foreign students are not being allowed on trains, and the government of Nigeria is doing nothing. That's what I want to bring to your attention.
We all are just people. We have certain human rights. So I guess in these hard times, we should just help each other and cooperativeness, and that's all.
Many are carried to the station by fear for their children and their city, already robbed of the lives they had just a week ago. Inside, it was all too much for this beloved pet. And already there are queues for food, some wondering how long it will be before supplies start to run out. Day 5 of the invasion, and Ukraine still resists, but there are fears this city could be put under siege. And once again, darkness brings new danger in the capital. This time, a strike on a radar center. The city hunkers down for another night, expecting worse to come. Orla Gearan, BBC News, Kyiv.
Now,
well, in any war, the human toll and upheaval is inevitable. The UN says more than 500,000 people have fled Ukraine since the invasion began last week. Many are traveling to Poland, which borders the west of the country. Our special correspondent Fergal Keane reports from the Ukrainian city of Lviv, close to the Polish border, on the growing refugee crisis.
To the edge of desperation and beyond.
What's this?
In a bewildering crisis. The women and the children of Ukraine fleeing their country.
What?
You will not be allowed, the policeman shouts to the men on the stairwell. Women and children only. Tempers fray. Back and forth go the arguments and pleas.
See?
The police move to help those allowed to board.
Look at that.
So the women and children are being pulled from the crowd on the stairs now so that they can board the train. The police, again, are outnumbered.
There are some Africans you saw in that broadcast. If you saw that, there's an African woman I saw in that broadcast. I don't know if she was brother or not. When it comes to Poland, we know their record in terms of race relations. So we do have to watch that. So, but anyway, just something to point out.
But they are doing their best. I've seen them go down there into the crowds and try and calm people. But it's very, very difficult given the volatility of the situation. I saw you in the queue. What do you feel? What's happening here?
It's awful. It's very bad.
What age is your baby?
1 year. He's very scared.
Of course. Of course.
The foreign students and workers here find themselves without family help, far from home.
Without family help, far from home, the Nigerian government is not helping them. And that is cruel. That is cruel. The Nigerian government, and this is what we're saying, this is why we are justified in going for self-determination. The people, let me get you the picture. And I will keep hammering home that point. I will play the video, but I want to get you still so you can see just how bad the things are. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, I think it's here. I've got it here, haven't I? I thought I did. Okay, I'll just play the video again. Yeah. So that's what those are what he's talking about. They're not getting the help. That's it.
This is us.
put forward the person and disturb them. If you have family members who can
See? Students.
We're so stranded.
They are still stranded.
No place to rest. We're just here. And like we just left the cold outside for like 6 hours. We've been outside. We've been begging, pushing, dragging. Like it's been so traumatic just trying to get into the border, and we're not able to get there. Since morning we've been told that all Nigerians, the embassy has gotten buses for us and stuff, but we've not seen any. And then like we watch other nationalities leave, and it's really, really so sad. Like people have been crying, people fainted. It's really horrible. Please, Nigeria, please come to our aid.
Unfortunately, the Nigerian government is not going to come to their aid. I just played that in there to make us see exactly what has been done. Let's listen to this now.
And if they're men, they must wait until women and children are evacuated.
What is it like for you, this?
Well, it's really stressful, you know. As you can see, I'm a bit nervous. I want to get on the train, but unfortunately I can't. And my visa was supposed to come out tomorrow, but I had to leave as fast as I can. So I just had to pack my stuff and leave.
The UN has warned of a fast deteriorating situation as tens of thousands flee towards Western Europe. Dr. Mohammed Nassinin is a British medic trying to leave with his family.
Here we just come, every people panic because they have bad situation here, and we come to try to catch it, but we saw how people, everyone, they want to go to run.
This is what he's run from. The Russian shelling of Kharkiv. And this is the voice of a young woman in the city, terrorized by shelling close to her apartment.
Then here we were just eating like a bit of croissant.
We met Doha from Morocco as she waited for a train.
I cried so much, and I just want to go home, really. I'm not safe anymore here. I left everything. I left my studies. Just pray with us, guys.
And that's where the Nigerian government have left their people.
6,
see?
A father's farewell to his infant son. What cannot be held must be let go. Until another day. Fergal Keane, BBC News, Lviv.
Well, that's the picture on the border. Meanwhile, in Russia, Vladimir Putin says a settlement over Ukraine is possible, but only if what he described as Moscow's legitimate security interests are addressed. While the fighting continues, Russia's central bank has been rocked by sanctions imposed by the US and its European allies. Our Moscow correspondent Steve Rosenberg reports on how Russia's politicians and the public are reacting to the war.
So we're getting close to the point where I need to talk about something important that we have to look at, but it's preparing us for that.
War has changed that. After the Kremlin's invasion of Ukraine, the world has turned its back on Russia. Western sanctions have sent the Russian ruble tumbling and interest rates soaring. No panic yet, but Russians are feeling it.
Among my acquaintances,
Svetlana's advertising agency is already losing clients.
it's just like a nightmare for me, really. I can't believe that this is really happening. We don't want to go back there to this Iron Curtain. We don't want to be isolated from the society. Me personally and everybody who I know, we don't want this.
Western sanctions, economic and financial, are designed to punish the Russian state, the Kremlin, for its war in Ukraine. But inevitably, the Russian public will feel the effects too. And already there's a sense of disbelief here on the streets at just how quickly Russia's international isolation is growing. In the Kremlin, an urgent meeting.
I invited you here to talk about the economy and about those sanctions that the so-called Western community, or as I call it, the Empire of Lies, is trying to impose on us.
More talking. This time, negotiators from Russia and Ukraine meeting in Belarus. Few expected a breakthrough, and there wasn't one. The war continues. But it's beginning to feel like the Kremlin's under pressure, with the president becoming an international pariah his army meeting fierce resistance in Ukraine, and his people uneasy at the prospect of new divisions, new iron curtains separating them from the outside world. Steve Rosenberg, BBC News, Moscow.
Now, let me pause it there. I want you to, let's listen only for fairness purpose. Let's listen to what Russia RT News is saying. Only for being fair, that's all. It's on YouTube. We can all get it. It's there, but I'm just showing it just for balance purposes.
Give people what they want. Tell them the truth. But that means you've got to know what the hell you're talking about.
And that's the key right there. You don't want to be the news story. I keep saying that. I don't want to be the news story. I actually want to tell it. But that's why I have you on Lionel to help me. Thanks for joining me. That's all for today's show. Make sure you join us for the State of the Union coverage beginning at 8 p.m. here on RT. We'll catch you soon. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay informed.
Okay. So let's have a look at what she's saying.
Why does the United States see it as such a threat?
Well, I think China, the United States probably feels that China has basically taken sides with Russia. But I thought it was interesting the way China came out with its position. It was a 5-point position. And at the same time, it recognized something very, very critical in spite of all of the chaos that's going on right now. That is the idea of indivisibility. You don't increase the security of one side at the expense of the other. And indeed, there's a whole litany of a history and agreements that support that argument, all of which have been violated. And that's why Russia is upset about it today. It doesn't believe in, and he pointed out that NATO has expanded at least 5 times, notwithstanding the fact that there were these assurances and these agreements. And I think that's notable. But he did call for direct negotiations between the two countries, Russia and Ukraine, protect civilian life, and a respect for territorial integrity.
Which seems
I think what China's trying to do is be the adult in the room and trying to position itself to be that adult that other countries may gravitate toward to come to look for a referee, if you will.
Bookmark that thought. Ben, I want to show you this article. It came out just before the weekend hit from the New York Times, saying that their anonymous sources say the Biden administration gave China intel on the Russian troop buildup to deter them. China, those anonymous sources say, then turned around and gave this intel to Russia. Now, we cannot independently confirm this, but it's interesting, though, on the timing of this article, Ben. Is this the convenient, way to kind of get that hate snowball on China moving?
Absolutely, and we see an incredible, extremely hypocritical and cynical strategy by the White House. They have been accusing China of genocide, imposing sanctions on China, saying that President Xi is a boogeyman under Americans' beds. And then immediately they expect China to suddenly ally with the U.S. against its own ally, Russia. This is a ridiculous policy. And of course, China is not going to ally with the country that is antagonizing, that is accusing it ridiculously of genocide and other supposed crimes. So the reality is that the White House acts as though every other country in the world is just going to abandon its foreign policy and go along with whatever Washington wants when it's convenient. But no, China and Russia have a strategic partnership. And yes, that doesn't mean that China always 100% agrees with Russia and everything, but they understand that they have a mutual adversary, which is the United States. And China has repeatedly throughout not just this conflict over Ukraine, but for many years now, has called for abandoning the Cold War mentality. Constantly, we hear from the Chinese foreign minister, Wang Yi, and other top diplomats, they constantly repeat that phrase, abandon the Cold War mentality. But unfortunately, what we see from Washington and also Brussels is they keep pushing for a new Cold War. And not only are they pushing for a new Cold War, they're actually accelerating the hot war right now in Ukraine by sending more weapons to Ukraine. The EU is now sending warplanes to Ukraine. So they really are, we were talking about this narrative a few weeks ago of the US and the European Union trying to fight until the last Ukrainian. Well, it really looks like they're trying to fight to the last Ukrainian, and instead of pushing for diplomacy, they're trying to accelerate this war even more, pouring fuel on the fire with more weapons and more warplanes.
Now, an interesting parallel. I want to give you each kind of a minute to respond here, but you know, you have the situation with Taiwan. The U.S. has also supplied Taiwan with anything militarily that it wants, but the difference is that if China were to attack Taiwan, Americans don't know this, or many of them don't, the United States has a pact that it would go and fight for Taiwan. We have this pact with Taiwan, not with Ukraine. Putin has said his two demands, as you said before, Michael, you know, about not being a part of NATO as far as Ukraine, and Ukraine would demilitarize. Why do you think the U.S. has a pact with Taiwan, but they're not doing the same for Ukraine? I'll give you each 30 seconds. Mike.
Well, it's not, Ukraine's not a part of NATO. We had a separate agreement with Taiwan that goes back many, many years. But there's a question of just what does that support mean? Does that mean we're going to send in troops? I mean, that would be total suicide on the part of the U.S. It more than likely means military assistance. But I also want to point out that the United States regards Russia and China as allies, and that they're going to criticize China equally because they do see this military alliance developing between Russia and China, even though China is playing it cool and not showing its hand, but there is cooperation. And I think that this is where the United States is trying to build that case of its world order now being challenged by this new multipolar world order by Russia, China that's emerging, and this is threatening to the United States.
A quick 30 seconds. Do you think China's the one that is going to be the adult in the room and solve it?
Absolutely. China's been calling for diplomacy, and as I said, the U.S. and the EU, instead of pushing for diplomacy, they're trying to accelerate this war in Ukraine, and it's the ultimate hypocrisy. I mean, this war is very tragic. They're the ones that pushed Russia to militarily intervening, and now, instead of trying to push for diplomacy, the EU and the U.S. are accelerating this war in Ukraine. They say they don't want a war in Ukraine, then why are they sending more weapons? Why are they sending warplanes? It's China, not the United States. It's China and other responsible countries that are calling for diplomacy and a peaceful resolution to this conflict.
Michael Maloof, Ben Norton, great to have you both on. As always, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And still ahead, we're going to get the latest on the ground in Ukraine. 5 days since the fighting first began. We're going to check in with one of our own on the ground. Stay tuned for that. In the meantime, make sure you download our portable TV app where you can catch everything from this show or any other one on this network. We've got live sports and a whole lot more 24/7 in the palm of your hand because it's TV as it should be. We'll be right back.
Now, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep that running, and I'll dip back into you now and then. Now, I want you to listen to this. Now, I have a question for everybody, those of you still watching. I have a question. Now, the question I have is this. There's a question I have. If it looks like, if let's just say, if the U.S. carry on and this thing develops into war. Before I do that, listen to the words of this man here. I want you to listen to the man here. It's just to see. This is back in 1939. I want you to listen to Neville Chamberlain. And then I will say what I need to say. Neville Chamberlain of British government talked about the war with the then Germany. Listen to this.
You will now hear a statement by the Prime Minister.
Listen.
I am speaking to you from the Cabinet Room at 10 Downing Street. This morning, the British ambassador in Berlin handed the German government a final note stating that unless we heard from them by 11 o'clock, that they were prepared at once to withdraw their troops from Poland, a state of war would exist between us.
Okay.
I have to tell you now that no such undertaking has been received.
Now,
and that consequently this country is at war with Germany. You can imagine what a
Listen
bitter
on.
blow it is to me that all my long struggle to win peace has failed. Yet I cannot believe that there is anything more or anything different that I could have done and that would have been more successful. Up to the very last, it would have been quite possible to have arranged a peaceful and honorable settlement between Germany and Poland. But Hitler would not have it. He had evidently made up his mind to attack Poland whatever happened. And although he now says he put forward reasonable proposals which were rejected by the Poles, that is not a true statement. The proposals were never shown to the Poles, nor to us. And though they were announced in the German broadcast on Thursday night, Hitler did not wait to hear comments on them, but ordered his troops to cross the Polish frontier the next morning.
Keep in mind, this is 1939
His
we're talking
action
about.
shows convincingly that there is no chance of expecting that this man will ever give up his practice of using force to gain his will. He can only be stopped by force. And we and France are today, in fulfillment of our obligations, going to the aid of Poland, who is so bravely resisting this wicked and unprovoked attack upon her people. We have a clear conscience. We have done all that any country could do to establish peace. But a situation in which no word given by Germany's ruler could be trusted, and no people or country could feel itself safe, had become intolerable. And now that we have resolved to finish it, I know that you will all play your part with calmness and courage. At such a moment as this, the assurances of support which we have received from the Empire are a source of profound encouragement to us. When I have finished speaking, certain detailed announcements will be made on behalf of the government. Give these your close attention.
Listen.
The government have made plans under which it will be possible to carry on the work of the nation in the days of stress and strain that may be ahead. But these plans need your help. You may be taking your part in the fighting services or as a volunteer in one of the branches of civil defense. If so, you will report for duty in accordance with the instructions you receive.
Just bear
You
with
may
me.
be engaged in work essential to the prosecution of war or the maintenance of the life of the people, in factories, in transport, in public utility concerns, or in the supply of other necessaries of life. If so, it is of vital importance that you should carry on with your jobs. Now, may God bless you all, and may He
Let me
defend
just-
the right. For it is evil things that we shall be fighting against. Brute force, bad faith, injustice, oppression, and persecution.
They said brute force, bad faith, oppression, and persecution. Brute force, bad faith, oppression, and persecution. Now, the reason I'm saying this is this. As we speak, we in the South, Middle Belt, Yorubas and Igbos, we have been clamoring for self-determination. We have been all over the world doing peaceful protests in the UK, in America, in Canada, in UAE, I mean, not UAE, in all over the world where we could, to bring the attention of the world to the fact that our governance has been oppressing us. In some respects, very much like Russia has been oppressing, or has, sort of taken control of Ukraine. Something like that. Ukraine is going for self-determination. Whatever we want to say about that, however we want to see it, whatever, if it's part of the plan, I'm not quite sure. But one thing is sure, they're trying to go for self-determination. And we are also trying to go for self-determination. The key thing I want to raise here is this. The way the West, i.e. UK, France, and others, have looked at our self-determination in Africa is very different to how they're viewing the self-determination for Ukraine. And I'm sure you will agree with me. A typical example, the UK government still they say they want to do a partnership with the contraption Nigeria government. Even though we've had a number of protests outside the parliament in the UK, we've been saying that the government of that contraption is oppressing and suppressing Southerners. They've killed thousands of people. We've stated over and over that there is an undeclared war. As much as 90 million people are in poverty and are facing starvation. Countless thousands have been killed. Close to maybe more than 300,000 people have been killed. And the UK government have not addressed or at least listened to or looked at this case because of, for whatever reason, their interests in what they're getting, whatever. Now, let me now go to the central point of what I'm really going to. In here, they talked about, let me just listen to the words. It listed 4 things, and I will listen on, and I will bring this to you. Listen now. This is Neville Chamberlain.
It is evil things that we shall be fighting against.
You see.
Brute force. Bad faith. Injustice. Oppression. And persecution.
Brute force, bad faith, injustice, oppression, and persecution.
That the right will prevail.
Right. Now let's hear for a minute.
That is the end of the prime.
Okay, so brute force, oppression, injustice, persecution, and oppression. Now, 5 things he mentioned there. Now, the thing I want us to really look at now in all of this is that as we speak, there is an impression that is being made to us. Myself personally, Yomi Koiki, and many others, we have been to the front of the parliament in the UK. We have done protests. We have raised alarm about the injustice going on in Nigeria. We have tried to sensitize the governance. We've talked to the people on the streets. We've taken out rallies across the world. In fact, even in contraption Nigeria, up until June last year, when the government stopped us, we were in about 6 states, peaceful protests. This is something that cannot be disputed or explained away. These are facts that we put in before you. Oloye Sunday Igboho was part of that, and he was, the feeling of our right to self-determination was growing and growing and growing. And suddenly there was a stop. We tried to raise the attention. We've been to the UN. We've done a protest in front of the UN. We did the wall-to-wall covering of that at the UN. We did the covering of the protest in Lagos. We did so many protests and so many awareness programs. We've done a lot of T-shirts and different things to raise the awareness about our call for self-determination through peaceful means. And it remains the same. It remains that case. However, here is the sad thing. It seems, and many of you will probably agree with me, there is a difference of approach to how self-determination in Africa is received or listened to, and self-determination in Europe. particularly as those who are the ones who created these borders that we have in Africa. They still control Africa, and we want self-determination, and it's time for us to do that. And one cannot help but start wondering, why is it okay to talk about self-determination for Ukraine, but when we in the south of that contraption called Nigeria that have suffered a contraption that should never have been, an enforced contraption, when we raise our voices, we've been to the parliament, we've done a lot of protests, try to bring in front of the BBC, outside the parliament, going around, in Nigerian embassy, the Benin embassy, even, to demand for immediate release of Louis Onegboho. We've done all of this. And many of us have written to the MPs. I have personally written to the MP in my area, highlighting the fact that there is injustice, there is genocide going on. There is genocide going on in contraption Nigeria because of the plan of the Fulani hegemony, the Fulanis in power to take over southern lands. And of course, we've talked about that Ahmadu Bello quote, the new Nigeria shall be an estate of our grandfather. We shall use the north as willing tool, and the south as a conquered territory, and we will never allow them to rule over us, and never allow them to have control over their destiny. And those are the words of Ahmadu Bello. And those words, they loom large in that contraption today. If you look at what is happening to Southerners on a daily basis. And yet, when we talk about this injustice, the colonials, who are in effect the British, they go tone deaf, and I mean tone deaf, to the plight of people of the South, the Middle Belt, the Igbos, and the Yorubas. Instead, they put that to one side and they go in partnership with the Fulani government, disregarding our calls for self-determination. It's great that they're supporting Ukraine in terms of self-determination. We don't know the full ins and outs of it. There is a deeper story based on what you see on RT. To be fair about things, the Russia, I don't support their actions, but they have a different view of what the West are saying. And it seems from what we're hearing, China is going to be the one that's going to be in the middle of it, because China is it's now it's a force that they cannot, both sides are listening to. Okay, there is an alliance between China and Russia, and maybe to some extent, certain extent, India as well. But what I'm saying here is this: it is now at the point in that war, in the 1939 war. Here is the thing I want us to bear in mind as Africans. Here is where I'm really going. In that war, many of us as Africans, we were told, because we are part of the Commonwealth, we had to help save the world, because Nazis the Germany was going to conquer the world and everything else, and there was going to be how can I put it? We couldn't afford to. We have to save the world against the brute force, bad faith, injustice, persecution, and oppression. The words of Neville Chamberlain, as you heard in that broadcast. And many Africans went into the First and Second World War supporting the very colonials who oppressed and suppressed us in our land till date. Are you following me? This is not about hate. Please don't misunderstand me. I just want us to now start thinking carefully and be clear about things. A time will come, if this carries on, there may well be a time where they have a decision to make about whether the West as a coalition will go to war against Russia because of the lack of meeting point or coming to an agreement. It may come to that point. I want us all to remember that after both wars, there was no recognition. There was no recognition for Africans in the celebrations immediately after both wars. And even till date, if you go and look at the cenotaph, they just put Africa. Nigeria in the Second World War sent about 200,000 people to that war effort. And there was no recognition. The reason I'm saying all of this is we are coming to that same point again. And there are two things we need to bear in mind. If we want recognized and we want honored, that's number one. What should be our approach to this war now if it happens? What should be our approach? That's number one. We were not recognized, and every time they celebrate and they remember, they say Africa, but they're not. There is no recognition of the efforts of the particular areas. Nigeria, with 200,000 people, being the most populous nation in Africa at that time. No compensation. The award of bravery and everything else, all of that is not recognized, and nor is it reflected in their records. That's one thing there. The second and the most important thing now is this. In view of the fact that we have been calling for self-determination and we've been putting this out there in the UK here, and the government has turned a blind eye to that. What should our approach be should in case the West wants to go to war against Russia? What should our approach be? Should we be neutral? Should we support the West, bearing in mind that what happened in 1939 and in 1916-17 war was that when we went and supported the war effort, and in many cases, the resources that was used for the war effort, they starved our people. Our people were starved. Go and look at something called The Journey to an African Colony by Olashipo Shashore. In there is a detailed story about how they took our men were forced to go to war. The food, there was a women's war because the taxes went high and the food prices went high because the war effort, all of our food in that contraption, Nigeria, was taken and put to the war effort to support rations for the army fighting. But our women, they put the prices up, and the women fought, and they actually changed it. Iyaloja in Lagos changed it, made sure that the women did not have to pay taxes. So we are coming to that same place again. Now, I'm trying to get us to think about this. I hope you're following what I'm saying. I hope you're saying it, We must be neutral. It has nothing to do with us. Bolaji Ajiborisha. Thank you for that point of view. We need to have more views. Again, I'm stating, and this is why it is very good for us to plan ahead, because we are still, all intents and purposes, we are not free. We are not free. We are not free. In that contraption, in fact, the entire African continent is still in the hold of UK and France, because they have the largest blocks of countries that are still French-speaking, English-speaking countries that they control via their Commonwealth and via the French, whatever they call it. And the French still collect money from them. So if we are going to be now is the time for us to think really well. I support the idea of neutrality. But furthermore, on top of that, it is important to understand, we must remember we need to make a mental note of the treatment that Ukraine is getting now, which is support, rightly so, for democracy. But, key difference, we are not, as Africans, as Nigerians, we are not being supported. We are not being supported. Instead, the government, the UK government, it seems, or at least it appears to, they send their officials, Katrina Lang and the new foreign minister, to come and to cement the relationship between Nigeria and the British government at the expense of the southern people. That's what it looks like. So I'm putting this to you. Collectively, what messages should we start telling our people in view of the fact that the very same self-determination that Ukraine is going for and they are supporting, that very same one, we are going for it in the south, and we are not seeing the same level of support from the UK government. In fact, we are seeing a direct ignoring of our legitimate right to go for self-determination by the UK government, working to cement the relationship between the contraption we call Nigeria, that is oppressing and suppressing our people all day. So in view of that oppression and suppression, what should our message be to our people? Is it time for us as a group of people now to start planning and thinking ahead? Because the same bad faith that they are claiming, that they're saying against Russia, bad faith, persecution, injustice, bad faith, persecution, injustice, suppression and oppression. Yeah? The same thing. It appears that's the same thing we are facing. And in view of that, if we are not, whilst we say fine, they support Ukraine, and they should do. If we are not getting that same support from Ukraine, that means that they are leaving it. Are we seeing, what does that say to us? Are they seeing us as not worthy of having self-determination? Is that what they see us? Because when we talk about that, when we've done a lot of protest, we've been ignored completely. But here we have, and we've been having problems. This has been the complete breakdown, the terrorism that has been going on well before 2015, as far back as 2002 even. But we have not had any, and we've been talking about it. In the last 2 years alone, I know for a fact that many of us realized where we were and the fact that the Fulani government was systematically killing Southerners on a daily basis, systematically preventing us from having, rights to be able to speak in our own land, systematically doing everything they can to suppress and oppress us in our land. And the British government has ignored all of that. They've turned a blind eye. So if they turn a blind eye to us and continue to do so, what I'm asking our people, and it's just a thought, if they're doing that, now that this war situation is going to happen, or if it's going to happen, we should remember the history of the past, the treatment that we got as people, as so-called Nigerians, as Africans, because that's what, in essence, that's what it is. The treatment we got as Africans was that though we put in a lot of effort into the war, the returns we got back was pittance. Is it not likely to be the same thing if we join the same war effort now? Is it not? So we need to look at this ourselves. This is something that all of us should start looking at now. We need to look ahead, because don't be surprised, because the people in government now, the contraption Nigeria government, let's just put a scenario, should the West say, okay, we're going to war, the first people that will provide people to go to that war will be Nigerian government in Africa. You know why? Because that way they're showing that they're performing on the world stage. And that way it takes away focus from the fact that they are killing us in our own land in the south. And I want us to be aware of that. We need to think ahead. We have to think ahead of that as a group of people, because that is what will happen. Nigeria that cannot have an army to protect our borders will suddenly find army to go to the war effort, even provide resources, even as our people are dying. And the people who will be suffering will be Southerners. So what are we going to put in place for that? These are questions we should be thinking of. We need to really be clear about what this is, Yeah, we must be neutral in it. It has nothing to do with us. I agree with you. But furthermore than that, we need to, this is a point that I will be coming back to again and again and again. Because if it looks the way it's looking, it looks like there's going to be a war somehow. It looks like it. It's not what we want. Now, whether or not it's going to be a nuclear war or not, I don't know. Nobody knows. And it is a worry because, we are all part of the system in a way. But what I'm saying is that when we look at what is being done in terms of the treatment of the support that the Ukrainians are getting, they're getting a lot of support. We who are in the South, who are resource endowed, who are going for self-determination, who know we don't need, when we go for self-determination, we will not have to depend on anybody. We can self-sustain. When we are calling for that self-determination, we are not getting the same level of support or any kind of listening, a feeling of the UK government listening to our clamor for our self-determination, our right to self-determination as Southerners, in view of the fact that we are being oppressed and killed in our own land, in view of the fact that the government of the day, for example, has refused to provide refineries, to build refineries within our country to make petrol cheaper, for example, in view of the fact that we have 42 billion tons of bitumen in our soil in that land, and yet we are importing 4 million tons every year, taking away jobs from our people. We cannot continue to support that. But yet the British government are saying to us they want to cement and deepen their relationship with that contraption Nigeria. These are the kind of things that we have really got to look at and decide for ourselves, start telling our family and friends about this. In the last war that they did in 1939, the women, because they were forcing us to take our food and use a lot of the food in the palm oil, for example, the oil was used in some kind of a military way. So that they took it all by force, and all that kind of food stuff that we had was used in the war effort, and our food, basic food. That pushed the price of food up. The women in Iyaloja and Lagos State, and they were going to tax our women. The Iyaloja of Lagos State, she fought against this, the taxes, and they had to bring it down. These are things that happened. If we do not talk about this, history will repeat itself and we will make the same mistake again. This time we know what was done. And like I said to you, in those war efforts, our collective, individual and collective efforts were not acknowledged. They were not acknowledged. Go and look at the records. They were not. They were heroic people who went and fought in Burma and everything else. They were just, they came back home. They were not acknowledged. And they say they won the war, and the remembrance and everything. In those remembrance, there is no part of it that remembers our own ancestors, African ancestors, and the sacrifice they made. I'm bringing this to your attention because when you hear what Chamberlain said, bad faith, injustice, suppression, oppression, trickery, and all of that stuff, that's exactly what was used to colonize and colonized us. The same thing that they are claiming against Russia is what they support against us in our land as we speak, because the Fulani governance is using bad faith, suppression, oppression, injustice against us, the citizens, the indigenous people of that contraption. So I don't know what your thoughts are. Let me open the phone lines. If anybody wants to call in, I'll probably do this tomorrow. I'm going to talk more about it, but I wanted to put that out there because we need to plan ahead, because it's going to come. It's going to come. And they will suddenly, the people that don't want to talk to us now when we talk about self-determination, they will come to talk. Oh, yes, we are part of us. Yes, we are come. Yeah, Africa is very important. Africa is wonderful. Africa is a place that's growing. It's got potential. Right now, to safeguard that potential, we don't want Russia to win, because Russia will stifle your progress. So they will come and take this. So please support however you can support this effort, come in. And then we get roped in by those who are in power now, who we are trying to separate from. And these are the things that I wanted to bring to our attention. Let me see if I can switch the phone lines on. Okay, it is on, actually. I forgot that it was on. So let me just check. So let me just, 1 second, please. I know it's late, but sometimes it's good to have this kind of discussion this late in the evening, because that way we can actually, I'll do it in the daytime. So the number is on here if you want to call in, 44-7399-580-606. Let's just check that it's on and it's connected. Is it connected? Okay, I'm going to connect it now. So if anybody want to call in, even for a few minutes we can call. Please don't forget to subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube. But I want us to, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Because in the First World War, the Second World War, and another thing I want to put into the mix, in the First World War that was fought, the war was about, part of the war was about the colonial territory, i.e. the Togo, Cameroon, and those places. They were German territories. After the First World War, they became the French territory, Togo and Cameroon. I know that for a fact. There was others as well. But those two, they moved from German control to French control. Now, part of the Second World War was that Germany wanted to reclaim back their old territory because they believe it's theirs. Because it was part of the Treaty of Berlin Conference that if you fought and you won, that would be yours. So that was part of the plan. And many of us are not aware. So when they talk about the Second World War, the part of the things they had to give away as compensation to France and to UK and to the coalition was to give away, to cede the land, the colony they controlled, ours. So now you can see that those who went to fight in the First World War, they went to fight for who was going to be their colonial master, the Germans or the French and the English. The Second World War, same thing. Who was going to be your colonial master, the Germans or the English? Because the Germans tried to claim back Cameroon and Togo. They tried to claim back those two. And I think it was Namibia. I'm not quite sure. I need to look at that. There's a story which I will come and do about that later on. There is a bigger story about that. Now, the thing is, now we are at this juncture now. We know now. We know what's, and it's definitely clear that the fact that 14 African countries are still having to pay France colonial tax, and we in the English-speaking part, we are having to pay homage via Commonwealth, to the colonials and speak the language and all of that. That shows that we are not free. Our language. I mean, when they were speaking to the French, one of the EU person there, EU official, he spoke in Spanish at one point. He started speaking in Spanish, and they translated for him. But almost every single African country I know, when it comes to the UN, they always speak in either French or English. They never speak in their own mother tongue. That's a sign that you are not free. Take it or leave it. That's the sign we are not free. So these are the things we need to be looking at, and we have to be very, very clear that what Russia is doing against Ukraine, whether we agree with it or not, whether we agree with the fact that whatever it is, the ins and outs of it, what we do know is that Ukraine is a sovereign nation who wants to be on their own. The people want to be, they don't want to be part of it in that way. Yes, there might be the history that we're not fully aware of, so I don't know it all. But we know that that's the similarity that we can see. The similarity is that we are and were a sovereign nation. Ile-Ife was a sovereign nation that was destroyed. Likewise, the Igbos and also the Middle Belt. And then they put us together as what we will know as Nigeria. And now we are reasserting our right to sovereignty, to go for self-determination, very much like what Ukraine is doing. So in the case of Ukraine, there is clear, unqualified support from all of the Western world, including UK and France, for Ukraine. In the case of us in contraption Nigeria, who have been oppressed and we are tired, and our people and the future of the coming generation is at stake because of the oppression and suppression, bad faith, bad governance, injustice imposed upon us. Let me put those words again. Words of Neville Chamberlain. That's what the Nigerian government is doing to us. Listen to the words. Listen.
Evil things that we shall be fighting against.
Listen, evil things.
Brute force.
Brute force.
Bad faith.
Bad faith.
Injustice.
Injustice.
Oppression.
Oppression.
And persecution.
Persecution. Oppression. Persecution.
Against them,
brute force, bad faith, injustice, oppression, persecution. Those are the things, those 5 things. Brute force, bad faith, injustice, oppression, and persecution. Those are the things we are facing under contraption in contraption Nigeria. And that's the very thing that the UK appears to be supporting. It appears that the UK is supporting the oppression of Southerners in their own land. And we need to make sure that this is a point that we explain to our people, to understand that this is the game that's being played. And in view of that, I have no doubt, I don't have a crystal ball. We may well be on a war front. I want to reiterate again. In the Second World War, on top of us fighting, supporting either one side or the other, and then ending up whoever won that war, we were still going to be not independent. We were still going to be slaves in effect. We were going to be answering to the names they gave us. This time around, we want we have to do something different. We must do something different. The people in Ukraine, I don't know, there are some unconfirmed reports that 2 people died. 2 Nigerians have died of cold, from what I understand. I can't confirm it. I'm trying to research it. But we do know that the contraption Nigeria government have not listened to the people. They have not come out and helped the people. And that is more evidence of why we are going for a referendum. We cannot be part of a forced union when we are being oppressed and suppressed in our own land. So I'm asking us all to have a think about this. What should be the plan? Should, in case the UK now starts coming and saying, okay, there's going to be a war effort. Somebody has already said we should be neutral to stay out of it. Yes, we can say to stay out of it, neutral. But we have to make sure that many of our people back home, they have to know the story of what the fact that the UK government, that is why it is very important we spread this message to make people at home be aware that it's fine, that yes, it's good to see the UK government supporting Ukraine. But we need to make our people know that when we as Africans are clamoring for self-determination, we are not getting the same support that they are giving to Ukraine. That way, if they now say, oh, we want conscripts to go and support the war effort, we want you to start putting some of your food aside to go and support the war effort against Russia, the people are more informed and are likely to say, no, I am not going because I am trying to get self-determination here and I am not getting the same support from the UK government. Are you following me? Is what I'm saying making sense? This is what we need to be doing. This is something I can't do it on my own. But if you agree with what I'm saying, you can call in on 44-7399-580-606. If you want to say one or two things about this discussion, I welcome your contribution, and this is something that we should do together. And I think if you have plans of how we can actually make our people aware, because we have to prepare our people, because mark my words, our resources is still important to the likes of China, the likes of UK, Australia, all of them. And we have to now make sure, going forward for the coming generation, the nation that we build, it's truly going to be a free nation, a free group of nations, i.e. Igbo, Yoruba, Middle Belt, and we will trade. And that way, our people will not have to be going to Ukraine. They can be doctors, qualified doctors. They can do everything there. A nation, let's just think about this. Let's think about this. Nigeria has 200 million population. We have all the mineral resources, over 46 mineral resources. Let us go and look at what they have in Ukraine. Okay? Let's go and do that right now. Let's go and do that right now. Mineral resources in Ukraine. Let's see what they have. Okay? I don't know, but I'm just trying to check something. And you can see the picture behind me. These are some of the resources we have. But let's go and look at what they have in Ukraine. I don't know, but I suspect it's not going to be as much as what we have in Ukraine. Let's have a look. Okay. So let's just go and look at Ukraine. Okay. Just want to see mineral resources in Ukraine. I don't know anything. So here we go. So they have some things apparently. Okay, that's fine. So they have coal, iron ore, natural gas, manganese, salt, oil, graphite, sulfur, kaolin, titanium, nickel, magnesium, timber, and mercury. So that's what they have. But these are what we have, minerals in Nigeria. So in Nigeria. So I'm just trying to bring a bit of, an idea of what we have. So let me just see. I'm going to try and give you, if I can give it, no, not that one. Let me just give you that one. Let me see. Can I see that? Yeah, okay. I'll come back to that later on. But we have over 40 mineral resources. And the picture behind me is evidence of what I'm saying. For example, in the Southwest, for example, out of the 8 states, 6 of them have got sufficient gold reserves. Hadiola. Okay, thank you very much. Let me have a look. And let me just see this. Let me just check that. Sorry, I was trying to... sorry, let me just see. I missed that message now. Let me just make sure I get it right. Okay, yes. Okay, let's have a look. So no difference between the current Chamberlain and the narrative to me. Wrong. It looks Africans like did not matter now, then and now. We should try to use this narrative against the British if we are allowed to speak at UN and in papers all over. Thank you very much. Thank you. May I give you a call, or would you like to call in? Let me call you. If you want to answer, you can join the discussion, because I actually like your angle. I like the way, the approach that you brought there. It is something that that is worth looking at. So let me see if I can bring, if you would like to talk, if you're watching and you want to talk, because this is something that is really interesting. I like that angle that you came in there. And I wasn't expecting that. But if you can talk, great. Unless you're working, I understand. Okay. Somebody just left a text on the number. That's why I was trying to. Okay. They may be busy. Okay. So, in fact, let me read to you what they said. They may be busy today. And this was like 1:45, which is like, 2 minutes ago. So they said, no difference between the current and Chamberlain 1939 narrative to me. Regardless of who is right or wrong now, it looks like Africans' life did not matter then and now. We should try to use this narrative against the British if we are allowed to speak at UN and in papers all over. So very, very important point. I thank my brother. Oh, I hope you didn't mind me. Sorry about that. I don't know who that. I mean, let me just. Sorry, I do. I just. I wanted to just state that. Thank you very much. You can, of course, call in. I will try and if you want to call in, please do call in on 44-7399-580-606. But I'm just showing you that we have resources in Contraption Nigeria. Let me just see if I can find that. So these are some of the resources we have. We have uranium, gemstones, bitumen, columbite, wolframite, tantalite, gold, coal, lignite, coke. We have gas as well. One of the largest gas reserves in the world. And as you all know, in view of this Ukraine crisis, there'll be no doubt that the UK is probably eyeing the gas that we have in Ondo State as something they can work with. But again, the resources there belongs to the people to whom they don't wish to have a self-determination. So these are the kind of discussions that we need to be having among ourselves to actually, break this down, and understand what is being done here. Let me see if I can show you what happened in the Second World War. In the Treaty of Armistice, let me see what compensation they did. Treaty of Armistice, okay? So this is part of, after the Second World War, Treaty of Versailles, yes. So now, let's have a look at that. So now, the Treaty of Peace, they call it. Now, let's go and look at the compensation after the Second World War. I just want to give you, these are the kind of things we should be looking at to understand. So when the war ended 1919, that was the First World War. But, First World War, sorry. Exactly 5 years. So what they did was they Allies causing loss and damage. Article 21, to disarm, make ample territorial concessions, pay reparations to certain countries. Now, you see that? I want you to just look at this. Look at this. I want you to see. Look at that. So now, they had to pay 132 billion marks. 31.4 billion in today's money, or equivalent to, as of 2022. Now, these are things that we need to be aware of. Because, there's been no compensation in terms of slavery, no compensation in terms of colonization. In fact, every year, we are having, 14 African countries are having to pay money for being colonized by, we have to pay that to the French. But you can see in black and white, in the pictures I said to you here, and what you see here, is that they had to, let me just put it there. Can I? Yeah. They, 1 second. Oh, come on. Okay, let me just do this. Let me just, because this is very important. Treaty of Versailles, that was the First World War I, sorry. And then you will see they had to pay, and they had to pay certain money in the Second World War to the Israelis, or, anyway, I don't want to get into that tonight, but that's another story which we need to be discussed at a bit more, that needs to, here we go. So you can see now, the reason I'm saying all of this is to make sure we understand that, and let me see, I want to see if it talks about Germany handing over Togo and Cameroon, because it used to be German. So let me see if I can find anything in there that talks about it. Be interesting. I'm trying to see where it is. British territorial changes. Let's have a look at territorial changes. Watch this now. So territorial changes. I want to see if there's anything in terms of what happened in Africa. So, okay. See, German colors were blue. So you see now. So mandates under control, right? Togo, here we go. Listen to this. You know I said it before. Look at this. Listen to this. You know I said it before. I wasn't sure. Okay. You see now? Now, I want you to see, after the war, you guys, we need to wake up, man. We really need to wake up. I wasn't going to say much, but I wasn't planning to say much. But I hope this makes sense to you now. I'm trying to show you what's been done. Can you see the areas in the flag there? I told you Cameroon, Togo, and then they said Rwanda, and Urundu. I mean, this is crazy. So Cameroon and Togo. Togo is right next to Nigeria. Cameroon is right next to Nigeria. After the First World War, when Germany lost, they had to give. They gave a country from one colonial to another colonial. Are you seeing that? Are you seeing what I'm reading to you? Let me see if I can bring it up here. Yeah, I'll do that. So I want to just see. So League of Nations mandates that under the control of Irish states, Togoland, German Cameroon, were transferred to France, aside from portions given to Britain, British Togoland and British Cameroon. Rwanda and Urundu were allocated to Belgium, whereas German Southwest Africa and South Africa and Britain obtained German East Africa. Can you see? I'm just bringing this together because we're now in a situation where history is about to repeat itself. History is about to repeat itself. And those countries, you see those parts there? That is part of what Germany was trying to fight for in 1939 to take back. And they lost. What you see there, and let me show you on the map. See this way, 1, 2, 3, 4. Germany tried to fight the Second World War. That's part of the reasons why they fought the Second World War, to reclaim the territory, because they see us as possession. It's valuable possession. So we have got to be thinking very loud and clear about what is going on. I hope we are learning from. Please, I'd like to hear from somebody. If you is it making? I know it's late in the evening. I'm going to come back and show this again because this is actually quite important. This is really, really important point because of the fact that this war is likely to happen between Russia and the West. Now, Russia has not taken or has never owned any African, colonized any African soil. No, but they've been part of the discussions. They were part of the Berlin Conference. I said they will be part of my discussion later on. They were at this table. There were 14 countries at the table during the Berlin conference. And I'm going to try and give you the list. I'll read the list out to you, and I'll try and share it as I talk. 14 countries. Russia was one of them. Let me see. Let me just put that up. 1 second. Somebody's calling me. Have they left a text again? Maybe. Okay, no. Thanks so much for this. Call in if you can. Let me see. Thanks so much for this. I am still live. Call in if you can. Call in if you can, because I really want to hear from him or whoever wrote this. Call in if you can, because I'm going to keep that text as well. So I'm going to do that. So if they can, we can talk. I got a little bit of time. I mean, I know it's late, but I wanted to just read to you. Let me read you the 14 countries that were involved in the Berlin Conference. So they are all part and parcel. And all of this is all related to the past. And what Russia is saying is part of what they're saying, rightly or wrongly. They're saying that the conditions and agreements reached before the breakup, before Ukraine was created, is not being maintained as they speak. That's what he's saying. But hey, and you've had the discussions. I don't know the ins and outs, but what we do know is what we're talking about now. So let me just try and go to the Berlin Conference. And again, we have to be very, very clear about what we're doing. Berlin Conference. Now, let me just read you the names of the countries. Yeah, here we are. So I'm going to get my glasses on because I feel a little bit tired and my eyes are not... So, I mean, I do like to... I'm going to play this broadcast and I want people to share it. Please subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube. It really is important. The work we're doing here is to really enlighten. I'm going to try and do it in my language as well. This is something that we can learn from. Sorry about that. I need to get the glasses. Sorry about this. So just do this so I can see it. Sorry about that. Now, let's read this now. I think I'll be able to read it better now. Okay, 1 second. I know it's not... yes. They got me. They had me. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, my brother.
Yeah, I'm enjoying your show.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, I'm calling from US.
Yes, I know, sir. Yeah. Go ahead.
And then we talked before a long time ago.
Yes. Hello. Yes.
Yeah, but there's one thing I want to say.
Yes,
okay?
sir.
If you follow, they had the same. They did not recognize the Black Americans in US either.
Exactly.
Until they demanded for it.
Yes.
Okay, therefore, it shouldn't be something new to us.
It shouldn't. No, you're right.
It shouldn't.
Yeah.
The problem right now is, I think, we got to start using their words against them.
That's it.
And then not only, the only thing is, I hope the Professor Akintoye can have an opportunity to speak at UN. All these things should be actually tabled and explained to them what is really, really happening. And then if we can't get it, we have to start, penetrating the, lawmakers in USA.
Exactly.
If the Democrats are not doing this, they're trying to listen to us.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Republicans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Many people. Just on that side, if I may interrupt, many people don't know that the Republicans were actually pro-Africans before. Many people don't know that story. They just know the current story of the Republicans being the other way. But they that's another twist to the story. But carry on, sir. Carry on.
Exactly. They didn't. It's even a lot of people living here or born here. Some of our people doesn't understand the history of the
Grand Old Party and all of that.
Republican to Democrat.
Yeah.
Either.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Therefore, we need to. And then the problem is, what scares me the most? I'm another person. I think I'm older than you. I don't.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. But what I'm worried about is, if we don't hit the iron when it's hot,
yes,
the opportunity we have now may never come again.
Exactly. This is why I'm trying to wake our people up, because this is the perfect opportunity.
I see, because I listen to different shows, and some of it sounds like a joke.
Yeah.
And some of it is like if to say, it's one leg in and one leg out.
That's it. Yeah.
And that is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Therefore, you know, I don't know. I'm enjoying your show, and I will continue to. And if I have anything to offer,
Yes, please.
I will call in or talk to you directly. Okay?
Please, yeah, you got my number there, and we will talk some more
Yes.
behind the scenes. But thank you.
Okay.
Let me just read back the words that you wrote, because they were really profound. When I saw that, it really moved me. Let me just read it to you back. You said, no difference between the current and Chamberlain 1939 narrative to me, regardless of who is right or wrong. Now, it looks like Africans' life did not matter then and now. We should try to use the narrative against the British if we're allowed to speak at the UN and in papers all over. I mean, yeah,
yes.
it really...
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
I mean, when I mean paper, I mean television,
yes,
whatever,
exactly.
Whatever we can expose them. Because there was something, this guy from Pakistan, I forgot his name.
Yeah.
He was interviewing one guy from Kenya yesterday. I don't know whether you saw it.
No, I didn't.
The ambassador that spoke at the
UN.
The UN.
Okay.
And then he was talking about the boundaries and everything and so on and so forth. And then I think you need to.
Yes.
And I explained to him. I said, hey, the same problem you are describing is what we have in Nigeria right now.
That's correct.
Therefore, I actually wrote in there.
Okay. Oh, fantastic. Could you send me that link? Could you send me that link? Because that
if I can go back,
just send me a rough idea and I'll pick it up myself. I'll try and I'll look
I
for
will
it.
get his name.
Yeah.
I will try to.
Okay, that's fine.
And then when I get his name or I'll find the thing again, then I will send it to you. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my brother.
Problem.
Thank you, sir. Eshengoni.
Take care. God bless you.
God bless. You too. Bye. Amen. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Wow. That's just made my evening right now. That's just made my evening. This is what we need. We don't need too many people. We just need a few looking at things and seeing the angle at where we're coming from. Because it's really important. What we're saying here is many don't understand the significance of this discussion tonight. And I hope those of you who are watching this, you are taking an opportunity to understand what has been. This is the information we are giving you. Is information to make you really understand that what is happening now is what has happened before. And if we don't understand how to resolve the problem now, we need to go back. Once we go back, we see what they did. From our point of view, we won't fall into the same trap again. Remember, I told you, I said, Germany in 1916, they fought to keep those places because this was after the Berlin Conference, like I was saying, which is this one here. And I will read the names of the 14 places to you. 14 countries that were in there. There were 14 countries in 1884 to 1885, September 1884 to February 1885. They had a treaty agreement between 14 countries that whoever it was in Africa, once you lay claim to that land, nobody can take it from you. So we were a commodity to them. You can already see with the people, with the risk, everything. They saw us as the land. And it's important we understand that. So when we talk about the Berlin Conference 1884-85, people don't understand the significance of it. Not one single African leader, a king or queen, was on the table to discuss the future of the people or the land that they were carving up. That means that we are seen as chattel. All of them. We are seen as commodity for them to use as they please. And it's important. It is not about being angry, but you need to understand that Berlin Conference tells everything that is happening now. It goes back to there. Now let's carry on. So now, let me read the 14 countries to you. The 14 countries are Austria-Hungary, Belgium, Denmark, France, Germany, Great Britain, Italy, Netherlands, Portugal, Russia, Spain, Sweden, Norway at the time, Turkey, and United States. United States was involved in all of this. So these are the things that we are talking about, and to know. And those countries that I mentioned there, they are still part of it now. Now, the difference is Russia and China. China wasn't in this discussion. Russia and China are now on the other side, along with India. But what I'm saying is, it's important to understand, and that's why we demand reparations. Because I say here, they paid, the reparation was not only, they paid millions in reparations, which is what, let me see if I can find the millions. Something 20 something trillion, in trillions in reparations. I'll come back to that later. I showed you earlier on. You saw that they paid trillions in reparations for damaging Poland and everything else. But on top of that, they also gave up Togoland, German Cameroon, Rwanda, Burundi, and they gave up and they gave up East Africa. They gave up East Africa, and the Portuguese was granted Congo Triangle. Portuguese were granted and the silver of German East Africa in the northern Mozambique. You see, and then of Shandong in China to Japan, and not to China. So then that's another that's in Asia. Our focus now is really on Africa, and that's what we're looking at. So these are really important things, and I will come and let me give you an example of what you need to bear in mind when they were doing this. One of the things that I've posted it many times before, but I'll post it again. Let me read you this line to get you thinking. Please, it's not about being angry. It's just so you understand. When you understand, you will more likely take the steps you need to take, and achieve the goal for the coming generation as Africans. Listen to this. The injection of colonists, but also the whitening of the quotidian of Africans, removing them of any form of autonomy to eat, to dress, according to sleep, to say, to pray, to walk, to organize the house European models. Perverse impositions, since they are followed of the form of ridicule of the Africans who adhere to European proposals. The paper mentioned in such a way as it says respect to the expansion of Christian religions if it relates to the definition of practical values and cultural ones of the colonized, the change of the symbolic systems, particularly visible religious structures that multiply, churches and chapels, crosses and crucifixes, sending for the space of the interdict of the religious expressions of Africans, and devaluating ligui castamente, idols, witchcraft, its religious symbols. So they actually devalued our own belief system. That's what they did. It's in black and white. I will show this. I'll bring that up on one of the discussions. But I just want you to. It's a bit of a segue. But anyway, so let's go back to where we were. I don't want to deviate too far. But I hope this is making sense. I hope you can relate to this in some way. But that call has made really the caller and the suggestions, and I need to look for that that Asian the man at the UN. I need to find that and play that because these are the kind of things we need to be looking at, because these are the real foundation, the real beginnings of empire that we're looking at. If we do not understand the real beginnings of empire, we can't hope to take it apart. We have to understand what they did, because it's when you understand what they did, then you can untangle it, because you can see the thread, and because that thread is still impacting us in our lives today as we speak. It's not about anger, it's just understanding. Now, so like I said, so that's the thing that I wanted to bring. I wanted to bring to your attention the fact that they paid compensation, they gave back land. They didn't give back land. It's not their land to give. But we fought. What the point I'm trying to make here is this: in the First World War, we fought on both sides of the. Some people fought for the Germans. Some people fought for the alliance. Whoever won, we were still going to be colonized. Same thing in the Second World War. Whoever won, we were still going to be colonized. This time around, if this war happens, we must ensure that we do not form part of any bargaining chip of anybody, anywhere. Our land is our own. We stand in our own right, in our own land. Our resources belongs to us. And this war is a perfect opportunity for us to extricate ourselves from all of that. The coming generation. And we need to really be very clear where we're going about that. I'm just saying to us, if it is okay for Ukraine to receive support for self-determination, we don't need anybody's support. What we just need for you to make sure that when we're telling you, it is not ignored, and we make sure that they're not ignored. And that is why going for referendum is so important. Because right now, the next step, what you will be seeing now is, after this, with this war situation now, you will see France, you will see UK. They will send a lot of people to Africa, and they will be saying a lot of nice things about Africa, because they want us to now give them resources and manpower to fight the war in Europe. Mark my words, that's what you will see. That's what happened before. In the First World War, Africans fought in that war. But many people didn't know. Many people went to Burma, went all these places and fought. Nigerians, Cameroon, Africans went and fought, both in the First and the Second World War. This time around, we need to understand that those who are asking us to fight, one, they haven't paid compensation for enslaving us in our land. They haven't. In fact, we are still being controlled. Now is the time for us to extricate ourselves. We have a perfect opportunity to redraw, to make sure that we bring back to life our ancestral kingdoms. We can do this. We can. So that's part of the discussion going forward. I'm going to stop here. I want that to sink in. I might bring the next part whereby I will go and look at the 1939. In fact, let me just quickly have a quick look. Can I see if I can find something on 1939 war compensation? I will do it another time. But let's go back now to actually, tie it together. Let's go and look at what is being said on, in IBBC again, and then we'll go and look at Russia news. Let's have a look. Let's see. So let's go here.
You're watching Newsday on the BBC. Still to come on the program.
So let's see. It's going to come in a minute, sorry. I'm just trying to see what they're saying, because all the while we need to be realize that our treatment.
Live from our studio in Singapore.
Let's have a look. Let's hear. I'm just trying to show you.
BBC News.
So there are things we need to consider.
It's Newsday.
It might seem innocuous to you, but that time will come. They're going to come to Africa and they're going to say, yes, we support us. Yeah, we're part of the free world.
To the program.
We are still
Ukraine
not free.
Has accused Russia
you will
of
hear those
bombarding
words.
residential
We are part of
districts
Africa is part of the free world. You are independent nations. We're not. We're not speaking our own language in our own land.
Governor said
we
there
don't
were no
speak. We speak
military
English and
targets in
French.
the areas
We're
under
paying
attack
compensation for being colonized.
Kharkiv remains under Ukrainian control. Russia
free.
has been repeatedly criticized at the United Nations in New York during a day of emergency meetings about Ukraine. We begin with this report from our international correspondent Orla Gurin in Kiev.
By night, they defend the capital.
Okay, so repeat.
Skies
I'm not going
full of fire.
Ukraine's second biggest city. The Interior Ministry says dozens were killed. Mr. Zelensky called for the whole of Ukraine to become a no-fly zone for Russian aircraft. He also called for a global boycott of Russian goods and the closure of all ports and airports to Russia.
That's what should happen right now. There should be no helicopters allowed to be doing drops in the south or anywhere. Because we are being killed in our land. by the Fulani governance who are giving terrorists guns, who are giving terrorists PVC cards to vote, and nobody, they are not prosecuting any of the terrorists. So these are the kind of things, the similarities between us and Ukraine, and we need to look and study that. I'm probably going to do a program in the next 3 to 4 days, a few days, whereby I'm actually spending a few hours, and I'll come in and we will look at Ukraine, and we'll be looking at it and comparing that to Nigeria, so we understand the similarities and why we have to continue among ourselves to raise the awareness. Nobody's going to do it for us. The West won't do this for us. We will have to do it. But it starts off with us. And if we raise the level of awareness in our kids now, they don't have to. They don't end up going to fight for something that is oppressing us already. We need to make sure these are the things. We do not want to fall into that trap whereby we now stand conscripts again to something that is not. Because already our people are being sent away. You saw our people are being sent away or being prevented from going into Poland and all these places, as Africans. But then they will say, oh, when the war comes, you are going to go and fight. Oh, you are valuable. Can you see? We need to see this for what it is. It's not hate, it's to see it for what it is. That when it suits those who are there to exploit us, they will try and change the music and make us, oh, we're one. But then suddenly, oh, no, that's not, They are worried about the fact that war is happening in Europe for the first time in 20, 30 years or 50 years. But we are having war every single part of Africa, and it's not bothering them because it's not impacting the resources that they are receiving from Africa. And these are the things that we need to change as Africans. It's our responsibility for the coming generation to make sure that Africa becomes an oasis, an oasis for Africans, where Africans stay, not where Africans are running away from and die in the process of running. Africans are dying in the process of running away from the resources that you see behind me without realizing it. And it's time to change that. The only people who can change that are Africans, you and I. You and I. Europe has every right to build Europe up and to make sure it's safe and no wars coming in Europe. They have that right. Likewise, we do. It's time we not only sort of just talk about it, make sure that Africa becomes an oasis for the coming generation. We are blessed beyond compare. A third of the world's fertile land is in Africa. We can be the one that feeds the whole world easily. We can. Just think it and it will be. Just think it and it will be. We need to start believing that Africa is ours. Our ancestors, that was our ancestors' land, and our ancestors are speaking through us now to say it is time for Africa to rise. Rise up like the Sphinx. Rise up again like the Sphinx and reclaim your old glory. It is time to bring it up. Breathe fresh life into it. The coming generation will now sustain it. That's what we need to do. This is not about, but it starts off first with what we're saying. First of all, self-determination. And that self-determination in Middle Belt, Igbo land and Oduduwa Nation, those three, then that can spread to other parts of Africa as well. And we need to do that. We have to be honest about it. And we have to, it's part of our belief system that Africa must rise again. Africa is the breadbasket of the world. In time, we've got the resources there and the fertile land. And time now for our people to really reach their true potential. Let us play for a few minutes and I might just go. If anybody wants to call in, of course you can call in. I appreciate my brother calling in earlier on, but I do want you to think about
upheaval is inevitable.
This.
The UN says more than 500,000 people have fled Ukraine since the invasion began last week. Many are traveling to Poland, which borders the west of the country. Our special correspondent Fergal Keane reports from the Ukrainian city of Lviv, close to the Polish border, on the growing refugee crisis.
Make comparisons.
To the edge of desperation and beyond. In a bewildering crisis. The women.
This scene that you see here, we face that every day in even worse conditions. At least they have trains, they have all that. I'm not trying to compare bad situation with bad situation, but I guess I am. But what I'm saying is that as sad as this is, and rightly so, they should get the help. We need to start understanding and feeling a sense of humanity about ourselves, our people, what they face daily. And that should be what motivates us to want to collectively work together as Southerners to free ourselves from contraption Nigeria. Every time we see this, I just see the picture of my Africans in Africa who have got resources in our land and it's been taken away from us, and we are left suffering. And we need to change that narrative. Nobody can change it for us but us. But we need to know the story of how we got there. And that's why we show you a few things in between. Now you know about the story of what really happened. They won't tell you about the fact that, Germany owned several colonies that was given to both the French, the Portuguese, and the English. And maybe I think even the Spanish or something from what you saw there. So, let's have a listen on a bit more. Let's see what to say here.
And the children of Ukraine, fleeing their country. You will not be allowed, the policeman shouts to the men on the stairwell, women and children only. Tempers fray. Back and forth go the arguments and pleas. The police move to help those allowed to board.
You see that? You see that? There are several Africans there. There was an African woman there. She wasn't allowed to leave.
So that they can board the train.
Let me go back again. I want to show you something.
Second biggest city, the aircraft.
I'm just showing you.
For a global train since the invasion began. Of all ports.
Move to help those allowed to board. Tempers fray. Back and forth go the arguments and pleas. The police move to help those allowed to board.
Let me go back again. There's a lady there that I want you to see, so that you know. Listen to this. I want you to see there's an African lady there. I don't think she was allowed to leave that place, but let's just check that for a second. Because I didn't see her leave. Now watch.
You will not be allowed, the policeman shouts to the men on the stairwell, women and children only. Tempers.
Yeah, there is an African woman there. Can you see that? Can you see that? She's there. That's an African woman. I'm sure you can agree with me. That's an African woman right there. Yes, if they say only men, that's fine. Well, what about her then? So I'm just saying. So listen now. Anyway, watch on.
Pray. Back and forth go the arguments and pleas. The police move to help those allowed to board.
That truth, you're right. And you said, let me read what that truth said here. So let me pause it. So that truth's on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube. And give us a thumbs up and hit the notification button as well. So it says here, the West doesn't care about Nigerians. Nigerians need to wake up and fight for your own people. I support reparations as long as it goes to the people and not the government. Absolutely, that's truth. Yes, this is what we're talking. Exactly, you're absolutely right. So that's my standpoint as well. The truth. You're right. You're absolutely right. So please do share the broadcast. This is something very important. I'm not trying to. We just have to be. We're speaking truth here. We're not interested in tittle tattle. We just want to make sure that our rights and we understand that our right to self-determination. We take action on that. It's our responsibility, and we need to work together to get that determination, self-determination. We need to work together to achieve that. Now let's see. I want to just check something. I was gonna find something for you, but I can't find it now. Okay. Anyway, so we will be back later. Anyway, let me see if I can play to see if there's any changes.
So the women and children are being pulled from the crowd on the stairs.
Let's
now
actually go to
so
the
that they
update
can
news
board
and then
the
go up
train.
and now go and look at
What
Russia.
it is doing, and how far could that go?
Well, there's always been an element in international affairs, as of people who have mutual enemies making up, and in a sense, this has defined the Russia and Chinese relationship off and on over many decades. But there's no doubt that both the growing energy links between Russia and China and this common cause of opposition to the US and a common view that the US and Western democracies are somehow past their sell-by date, that they are decadent and declining powers, has pushed these two sometimes rivals into each other's arms. But I think you're seeing that China, a country which actually likes stability on the global scene, is also quite troubled by this kind of, if you like, bull wrecker, Russia, which is not a strong economy, whose gains come from disrupting stability. And so, for now they're together, and I think they may stay together, but there is not a total mutuality of approach and interest as people might think.
Mark Maddock-Brown, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on the programme.
Thank you, Tim.
Okay.
Now, football's world governing body FIFA and Europe's governing body UEFA.
So let's go and look at what RT is saying. Then maybe we'll wrap it up from here.
The word stagflation, so much being talked about right now in the financial press.
Right, and it's like they're trying to avoid anything that looks like a recession at all, but at the same time, I mean, we've been talking about record high after record high, and so it kind of brings up the question, I mean, can these record highs just keep going up and up? At some time, they've got to come down, right? I mean, what are the long-term effects of sort of the policy that we're seeing right now?
So here's the thing, Rachel. And this is a little bit weird, but you can imagine a world in which markets go up and up and up and up. At the same time, inflation is roaring and roaring, and the economy is tipping into recession. All these things can happen at the same time. It's all about creating illusion. The illusion that wages are going up even though they're going down in real terms. The idea that the markets are going up even though they're going down in real terms, in terms of purchasing power. So it's a shell game at this point. And as I said, just a couple of months ago, the Fed thought that it had it all sewn up. It was going to dial back the quantitative easing, we're going to raise interest rates, and that will fix inflation. I never believed that for a second.
Right.
But this new conflict with Russia and Ukraine changes absolutely everything. And already the markets are expecting fewer rate hikes over the next year than they did just 2 weeks ago. I'm really wondering if that's going to continue to be dialed back. And we're going to see the Fed say, okay, no rate increases for now. We're going to wait till this crisis passes. We're going to hit the summer. The same thing is going to happen. Hit the fall. Same thing's going to happen. We've been here before. Promises, and it never happens.
All those promises, we'll continue to follow them to see what they actually decide to do. Jeffrey Tucker of the Brownstone Institute, thank you so much.
Okay, so
Time now for a quick break, but when we come back, oil prices are on the rise in the wake
oil
of the
prices,
ongoing conflict
you
in
would think,
Ukraine. On the other side, we'll discuss
that's
the
another
latest
thing.
rally
You
and
would
how
think
long
oil
it's likely
prices
to
will
last.
go up.
And as we go to break, here are the numbers at the
you would think all prices would be a benefit to us.
Signed a record deal, and the song really started to pop off one time, and I feel like the Opry was a similar vibe.
Tell me about Ryman before we move to the Opry. Did you hit the ball hard, man? Were you just on your game? I'm getting goosebumps hearing it, because there are those nights, and as any entertainer, when you're on stage, you think, boy, I am seeing the label, the commissioner's name. I am striping this thing.
Yeah, I definitely felt like it was a good show, and anytime that I.
Sorry, I'm not.
Haley through Breland, right up to me now. He'll be speaking through.
So let's have a look at that. Anyway, so I'm just showing, just to be fair a little bit. So, but listen, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I'll wrap it up here. Thank you for joining me. We've been a good an hour and a bit now, I think. Let me see how long we've been on here. Let me just check, because I'm not too sure. Let's have a look. I'm just going to check for 1 second. Let's see how long you've been on here. It doesn't say. 2 hours. Okay, so we've been just over 2 hours. Thank you for watching, and let's have a think about that. Yeah, like I said, the next step will be there's going to be whose side are you going to be on. I think we need to. I would suggest that we are neutral. I would suggest, and I would suggest that many of us start preparing our families and things, because many people think, oh yes, just remember you saw on the video how not all, some people didn't want Africans. Poland doesn't want Africans. They only want to help Europeans, and we need to bear that in mind. If many of our people who went to the war, they came back and the army they were treated like rubbish in the army. So we need to be very, very clear that the things that happened in the First and Second World War, we don't even go anywhere near it. I think we're better off looking at things and saying, no, we're going to be neutral on this one, bearing in mind, and we are justified in doing so because we are not being allowed to have self-determination in our own land. But yet they're promoting self-determination to Ukrainians. And that's a clear demarcation right there. That means that we are seen as unimportant, and it's time we put ourselves first in our land. Anyway, I'll stop it there for now. Thank you for watching. You're watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Please subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube. Let's have a look at it now. I'm going to try and just do that one final time, and we can, wrap it up. So go ahead, subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube. The link is on there. Just click on the link. Tell your friends about it. Hit the notification button. Give us a thumbs up. And of course, subscribe. Those three. If you do that, it can help us spread the message. The message for us right now, what is the next move? We should be thinking of the next move and preparing the ground. Making sure, as we speak, the government has starved us of food and everything else. Our resources, our fertile land, we've not allowed to grow food because the terrorists have been terrorizing us. And we need to make sure that we need, one more thing I'll add, on ground, we need vigilante groups across the whole of the South. Middle Belt, Igbo land, Yoruba land. We need vigilante groups, and those vigilante groups must flush out those terrorists, because the terrorists, they're not only a threat with their gun, but they're also a threat in terms of the PVC that they're going to be using to vote. Because with that PVC, they would chase the people away and then go and vote. And they were saying that the Yorubas and when they will know they're Fulanis. And that's the thing that we have really got to get the message out there. The time is very, very short. We do not want any elections. We don't. But what we're saying is that if we don't begin to chase these people away and make sure that they don't, oppress and suppress us, then we will not be able to exercise that right to call for self-determination. And that then they will impose that further elections on us. So it's really, really important that we do so. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. I'll be back later on. Please do subscribe. Don't forget, go ahead and subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. If this resonates with you, please do share. Join us again. I'll be talking later on, and also join us on our sister station, Oduduwa TV Radio, and subscribe there also. Subscribe to Citizen AY on Oduduwa and on YouTube. We'll be really grateful if you can do that. Thank you so much.